time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios on this beautiful Friday afternoon because we got college football. Week 1 started last night, and it will really get kicked off tomorrow afternoon. A handful of games tonight, but really what everyone's looking forward to is that slate of games tomorrow. So we're talking a whole lot of college football over these next 3 hours, getting you ready for Saturday. Going to be talking a lot of bets with Alan Bell and Bruce Marshall like we usually do. And it'll be nice because we'll actually have games to bet on this afternoon. College football games, I should say. We always have something to bet on, but college football games to bet on. But like I mentioned, we are Sports Time. Bryant, Brett, and Connor with you. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Doing great, guys, and we had some good games last night.
Yeah.
If the rest of the year we stay on a roll like we've been on with last Saturday's menu of games and even last night's games, I thought the Minnesota-North Carolina game was really good.
Oh, yeah. No, that game was that might have been the best game of the night. And
I know people aren't – I know most people are averse to that kind of defensive, kind of slog, kind of ugly. We still have defense. We still have special teams, and it really mattered at the end for North Carolina. The Colorado-North Dakota State game was really good. So if we stay on that roll, there were a couple, not near misses, but a couple of FCS put a little bit of a charge in some games last night. Not really even real scares. NC State had one, but a couple in North Dakota State sure scared Colorado.
Yeah, no, they definitely did, and so I think these FCS teams and what they are bringing in and what they've got. I mean, we talk so much about the transfer portal, at the FBS level, but they've got it at FCS as well, and so you're seeing some of these teams and they come out with a lot of fire because at the end of the day, I know a lot of people were talking about the NC State and Western Carolina game last night. That's Western Carolina's Super Bowl, and sometimes I hate using that word, but when they have that opportunity to play that FCS team, especially when they're top 25. Exactly. That's a big game for them, and so they're going to come out with a little bit extra juice. And on the flip side, it's very hard. I mean, I know coaches like to say and people like to say, you can never underestimate your opponent. But when you're a top 25 team and you've got kids anywhere from 18 to 24, 25 years old, it's very hard for them to remain locked in when they look across the field and see an FCS school sometimes. And so, it doesn't surprise me when we have games like that. But, yeah, the FCS teams were bringing it last night.
They were, and those teams, they had a shot. I don't know how good North Dakota State really is. I know this morning to hear some, including Desmond Howard, almost making them sound like they were some type of juggernaut. They're really good for their level. They got deep in the playoffs last year, but I don't see that much different in Coach Prime's team from last year to this year. It's still some really talented players on offense at quarterback, at both wide receivers. I think Shiloh Sanders on defense could play for everybody, most if not everybody. But what was that different about Colorado last night than last year?
Nothing. And you saw a lot of people talking about that because last year it was the star quarterback and the star receiver cornerback and a couple other skill players and then a really suspect offensive line. And last night it was those star players and some really good weapons and a very suspect offensive line again.
And I think Shedeur Sanders will be the number one pick in the draft next spring. If not, he's certainly going to be one of the top quarterbacks taken, and he is running for his life. He can make every throw. He can start for every single team across college football if he wanted to.
Sure.
And, if they were getting I don't think Georgia would throw Carson Beck overboard for him, but I think he's better than Carson Beck. I do.
Yeah.
And Travis Hunter is just amazing. Now, we're going to have a great debate this year in college football, and I look forward to it as a Heisman voter because it is for the best player in college football. Technically, the verbiage around the voting standard It has nothing to do with their team.
Right.
And I'm trying to think the last time on even a modest team on and I think Steve Owens won it in '69 at Oklahoma, like on a 5-4, 6-4 type team.
Oh, wow.
We know very famously the only winner on a losing team was Paul Hornung on a 2-8 Notre Dame team, and he topped Johnny Majors at Tennessee for the runner-up. And that's when the college football power was really in New York with Notre Dame. But Notre Dame was 2-8 that year, and the Golden Boys still won it. I don't think Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders on 10-2 or 11-1 teams, I don't think they would win the Heisman for this reason. They're going to be classic vote splitters.
That's right. I mean, that's a really strong point because, I mean, last night.
I know one plays defense.
Sure. But, I mean, still, even with that, I mean, last night, just take last night, for example, you had Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball. He scores 3 touchdowns. He was kind of the story of the game. But you look at what Shedeur did and threw for over 400 yards last night and looked great. And like you said, he's running for his life back there. He doesn't really have an offensive line. So, how do you value those two? You're exactly right. There are going to be some people that say, well, Shedeur's the one throwing it to him on offense, and he's running for his life. He's making all these great throws. I'm going to vote for him. And there's other people that are going to say, well, this guy's playing both sides. He's playing both sides extremely well. I'm going to vote for him. I think you're right. Those guys are going to split votes all year long.
And it's going to be a lot tougher competition than North Dakota State.
Sure.
I do not want to denigrate North Dakota State.
No, not at all.
But I also don't want them elevated to being Alabama.
Sure. Yeah. And so I think, it was a good week 1 test. I think, if you're playing an FCS school, North Dakota State's one of the best tests you can get in terms of facing an FCS school. But at the end of the day,
there are other good tests on that level.
Definitely.
Montana State, North
State's
Dakota,
exactly.
North Dakota,
South
University.
Dakota State
the South Dakota.
is I think actually the number 1 team in FCS.
Don't mess with the Dakotas.
No. They know football up there,
and they're used to tough winners.
They definitely are.
And I know that game was scheduled long before Coach Deion Sanders was hired by Rick George, the athletics director at Colorado. There's not a chance anybody scheduling North Dakota State in the future.
No.
There's no chance. And then a lot of other FBS versus FCS games, namely in Little Rock and other places. It's why I can't stand these games. I really can't. I think it's shameful in the SEC for them to be, for any SEC member, fill in whatever team you want. I think it is shameful to be playing those type teams and charging people money to go to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point by you because, I mean, I think that that Arkansas game is a great example last night, and I know we're going to talk to Ty here in a couple hours, and I'm going to be very honest with him when we start talking to him. I watched the beginning of the game. I watched most of the first half. Did not watch the second of the second half, and that's a lot of people. I mean, I was talking to somebody who is a grad of Arkansas, was very excited about the game, watched the entire first half, and then I asked him later, what'd you think about the second half? I didn't really watch it. He goes, oh, I turned it off at halftime. I just couldn't watch that anymore. And so, you're right, to charge people money to do that.
And you notice in the second half, by mutual agreement, they were playing 12-minute quarters.
Yeah.
That's the second time that's had to happen for Arkansas. The only 2 times in Arkansas football history you had to work a gentleman's agreement with the other side to shorten the quarters in the second half. I'm sorry, if you have to do that once, you should never play that team again. There's no doubt if it happens to you twice, whether it's in the U of A system or not, and they want to keep the money in the state and all that good stuff, then we got to have a real football game. Yeah. This is not junior high football.
Right. No, you're definitely right about that. How about that? So they did that in the second half. Also, Arkansas decided to decline 2 15-yard penalties at the beginning of the game and at the start of the second half because Pine Bluff wore their black jerseys last night, and I'm sure agreed upon before, but in the rule books, that is a no-no to have the contrasting colors. So it was a very interesting game, but if you can take anything away from it, at least in that game last night, I think Arkansas fans have a little bit of hope of what that offense can be because they were certainly feeling it last night.
And they showed the sideline shot of Bobby Petrino with headsets on and that Waffle House plate menu play sheet in front of him, and I think they have some hope. And I know, Ty, that not taking too much from that, it's hard to take much from it. But let me once again, since we're getting good and started with college football tomorrow across the SEC. Here is my scheduling plan for the SEC. It will never be adopted, but I would love for this to happen. Don't go to 9 games. Go to 10.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go to 9. And then in the 10th game, you play somebody from the league, and it doesn't count against the league total. You play 9 that count, and you play somebody that you don't run into, like Ole Miss has played Mizzou twice since Mizzou's joined the league. Once in Oxford in 2013 and once in Columbia in 2019. Let's start playing each other.
Yeah.
Quit balkanizing this league. Then the 2 non-conference games, somebody from the Power 4 right now.
Yep.
So a name brand. Find your team. There's plenty of teams out there now in all these conferences. Find somebody from there. And then for that 12th game, like for Ole Miss, play Memphis, play Southern Miss, play Tulane, play Arkansas State, somebody in the neighborhood. Maybe not somebody every year, and I'm sorry that's probably come and gone with the Tigers.
Sure.
But Tulane and Ole Miss fans want to go to New Orleans just as much as they want to come to Memphis and the Southern Miss thing. That should be your 10 games.
Yeah.
9 league, 1 league game that doesn't count league, a power conference team, and somebody in the neighborhood. For Arkansas, play Arkansas State, play Memphis, play Troy, play Middle Tennessee, play some of those teams. No FCS. It is shameful.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. I think that's really good, and I especially love the local flair there because you always see those. Whether it's the power conference teams or whether it's the group of 5 teams that are kind of in that same area, it's one side saying, well, they don't want to play us, they won't play us, and the other side saying, well, we don't want to play you. Just settle it on the field. Let's just make it a rule that they have to play and get it done.
And I promise you, one way or the other, 80-0, it won't be that in all those games. It won't even be close to that. 45-10 are the upset of the bigger, more prominent team.
Sure.
Guess what's going to pop up tomorrow morning rising in the east? The sun.
That's right. Yes.
We'll be just fine.
Will not be the end of the world, but some people like to think that. Well, you mentioned some of these local teams. I know you're in Oxford ahead of tomorrow's game for Ole Miss. I know a lot of people here locally. Excitement around Memphis and Ole Miss for this season. Both teams will kick things off tomorrow night against FCS opponents. And I haven't seen an Ole Miss spread. I haven't checked on that. But I know Memphis sitting about 36.5 for tomorrow's game against North Alabama.
Say 42.5.
Okay.
I saw.
Wow. Okay. So big numbers for both teams. We kind of knew, we expected that. But with
And
the
how
excitement,
good is Vegas? They got to throw a half in at 38 and 42.
That's a great point. You always say that, Brett. It always comes into play. But I think good reason for fans to be excited about the season kicking off for both these teams.
But a lot to discuss today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So glad we're on the eve of full-throated college football. Last week just whetted our appetite, and now here comes the avalanche.
Yeah, it was that nice appetizer. Like when you go to a restaurant and get some, cheese dip or some fried onions
I
or something.
whip off dip and chip. But you know what? Every now and then I got to get down to the big stuff.
Exactly. I need some meat, and here we go this weekend with the main course for week 1. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But we do have a busy show. Let me set up today before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30. Alan Bell. He'll join us from at the AB3 and driving the line to talk some wagering. We'll get his thoughts on a lot of these week 1 college football matchups. See what he feels for these games. 3:45, we've kind of already mentioned, we've gone through the entire AAC and SEC except for Memphis and Ole Miss. I think we've both kind of made it pretty clear where we stand on those two teams. We'll say it at the beginning of that segment, but really at 3:45, we're going to talk about those scary games, the ones that we're worried about for both Ole Miss and Ole Miss and Memphis on their schedules. We'll go through what games to keep an eye out, what could be scary games this season. We'll do that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net will join us. us. We'll get some more picks with him, get his thoughts on a lot of these Week 1 matchups in college football. 4:30, we've been doing it all off season, slowly cementing it, and today it will officially be cemented. Our preseason college football playoffs. Yeah, this one is the one that is set in stone, so definitely excited to get to that at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas will join us to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC. Obviously, Arkansas with their big win last night over Pine Bluff. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw and the rest of the season, and get his thoughts on a couple of these other SEC games in Week 1. 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank Friday football forecast, which just feels good to say, Brett. You know, the fact that we are going to be picking some games, it is a good feeling. We'll do that at 5:30, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time, and we'll get out of here and watch some football. But let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together, and get over to Family Leisure right now because they've got the world's biggest spa sale going on right now. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spa starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spas at $17,499. Special financing, it's available. And don't forget about the huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools. Also, all patio furniture priced to move. So get out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Bryant, I'm Brett, and we're produced today by Connor Dacus, and we want you to call us at 901-360-8255 or text us at the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. Wherever we are, we're always in our Family Leisure Studios, and thanks so much to Billy and Lindsay and the great crew out there. And every day at this time, this hour brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be college football Week 1. We got a nice taste of it last night with a lot of games for a Thursday night in Week 1, but there were a couple of marquee games that a lot of people were keeping their eyes on. The big one, North Dakota State at Colorado, and I thought Colorado looked good. They definitely have some issues with this team, but those two stars that they have, they came to play. Travis Hunter, if you forgot about him, he quickly reminded you who he was, especially on the offensive side of the ball. 7 catches for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, North Dakota State tried not to throw to his side of the field, and just the fact that he's out there playing both sides is incredible to watch. But he looked good. Shedeur Sanders, he looked like a pro out there. He absolutely is. 445 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. The interception that he threw was crazy. It was short, it hit off a cleat, kicked up in the air, and then fell into a North Dakota State cornerback's hands. So that was his only interception. Shout out to the local product, Dallin Hayden, who just transferred to Colorado this past offseason from Ohio State. He led the team with rushing with 20 yards on 9 carries, so it was good to see him in the action. The other notable game from last night was the North Carolina and Minnesota game, a game that came down to the wire. It was a wild finish, but ultimately Minnesota set up for a field goal in the closing seconds and just went a little wide right to lose the game. North Carolina starts season 1-0. PJ Fleck and his Gophers dropped to 0-1.
ACC needed it.
It sure did after what happened in week 0, but it definitely a good start to week 1 in college football.
My top story, countdowns in, games begin, talking season is over, pad popping begins, everyone undefeated quickly will move to Mulligan Monday, and the full admission by all of us geniuses, me at the top of the list, we may not know near as much about this as we
Well.
think we do. Full admission on that. When Coach Prime in Colorado, I think Reggie Jackson was famously Mr. October. Right now, Coach Prime's Mr. September.
That's right.
That's when his team is really at its best. Last night they did get the win, and Travis Hunter, he has to think, I'd have been great at Florida State playing at my dad's alma mater, or Shedeur Sanders at his dad's alma mater, Travis Hunter, maybe at Florida or at the U, but they're great at Colorado. They're great at Colorado, and they're making a lot of money. But what's the winning component going to be? At the end of their college career, we're going to have all the cars and all the toys and all that stuff. They're going to be on the way to the NFL wherever they had played. They could have played at Montclair State, and the NFL is going to find them. What's the winning factor for it?
That's a great question, because didn't do any winning last year, and depending on who you listen to, maybe 6 wins would I think a lot of people are saying is a really good year for them. So yeah, it's going to be really tough.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's got to be the Memphis Tigers on the eve of their season beginning. North Alabama tomorrow night. North Alabama team that has already played a game. They're 0-1 on the year. They were part of the FCS showcase last week in week 0 when they lost to SEMO. This is a team that's going to run the ball a lot, try to keep it on the ground. So what will this Tiger defense look like? The spread, it's about 36.5 right now. I think the Tigers will win easily, and I think we'll see a lot of guys on both sides of the ball, and that's really what you want to see in these early season games against FCS opponents. But there are a lot of questions defensively. You've got a new defensive coordinator that comes in. He's a little guarded. He doesn't want a lot of his information about what he's going to do out there. He says he wants to play a ton of guys. So we'll see. What do they look like? I think they're going to be really, really strong. I think it's going to be a really good unit. I'm really interested to see the secondary. We talked to Jonah earlier this week, and he mentioned some injuries in the secondary. So what does that look like in game 1? What does the depth look like after they lost a couple guys to the transfer portal from the secondary in the offseason? And offensively, I think we know what we're going to see with Seth Hennigan back there, but the running back room will be fun to watch. Mario Anderson comes in after playing at South Carolina. You got Sutton Smith, who is back, and high praises from the entire coaching staff about him. It should be a fun night tomorrow night at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, and it will be the first time everybody gets to see what Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium will look like over this next year or two as all that construction's going on.
Hard hats are not optional. You don't need that tomorrow night at the Tiger game. It'll be a lot of fun. My not top story, we had more top 25 upsets last week in week 0 than we practically had all of last year. Remember, last year was a real favorites year, no shocking upsets. Who's really on upset alert for the rest of this weekend? And not just to be scared, not just to be close, but could really get beat. Who's out there? South Dakota State in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. Some may think could be there with a big upset, kind of like last night if North Dakota had pulled it off. But it would be bigger if they knocked off a team that could go to the playoffs by defeating Oklahoma State. There may be some out there in this weekend's menu.
Oh, yeah, it definitely could be. And before we get to a break, Brett, we have some breaking news just coming out from Pete Thamel. We talked about that North Carolina and Minnesota game. In that game, North Carolina quarterback Max Johnson went down with an injury. Pete Thamel is reporting now that Max Johnson is out for the season. An update on UNC quarterback Max Johnson.
Third stop for him.
It's crushing to hear. Here's the quote from North Carolina. Quote, he underwent successful surgery in Minneapolis to repair a broken right leg on Friday. Johnson, who is accompanied by his parents in Minnesota, will return to Chapel Hill in a few days and expected to make a full recovery. So game 1, going out with a lot of hype and excitement for the season, for it all to end that fast. It's heartbreaking.
I didn't see the play he got hurt on. Do you remember it?
I had walked away or I'd gone to a different game and
I had too.
Wasn't on it.
Now, I don't know if this causes injury, but he's kind of big and gangly.
Yeah.
And when he runs, you don't think that effective until he's clipped off about 8 or 9 on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whether he was at LSU beat Ole Miss in COVID year down there in 2020 in a mud hole and really couldn't catch up with him. He had kind of stumbled and bumbled. Then last year, A&M really should have won last year in Oxford over Ole Miss. and let the game get away from them at the end. But I hate that it ended for him, son of Brad Johnson, Super Bowl winning quarterback at FSU. And y'all's dad will remember Brad Johnson also playing basketball for the Florida State Seminoles back in the Metro against the Tigers.
My father will definitely remember the Metro days. But, yeah, definitely hate to hear that news. There was some interesting injuries last night. The late-night game, Sac State and San Jose State, a player had to get carted off the field. So you just hate to see that in football. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking some wagering with Alan Bell.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses. Hungry for that delicious smash burger flavor? Dyer's Cafe is the original smash burger since 1912 and still smashing burgers in Collier's historic town square. Come out for their lunch specials Monday through Friday 11 to 2. Ask about their world-famous split dog and authentic Chicago or New York dog. Try the leaner side of Dyer's with a grilled chicken sandwich or freshly made salad. Also serving lakes, Delta-raised catfish, Pasquale's tamales, and a customer favorite hand-breaded onion rings. Dyer's, serving world-famous burgers, dogs, and shakes in Collier's historic town square.
We had the appetizer last week. It's now time to feast. College football's officially back. Don't miss any of the action. Jump in at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's a full slate of games for Week 1, including a big matchup in Atlanta between the preseason number 1 and number 16. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. The code is HERD, H-E-R-D. That's code HERD for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Are you ready to make this the summer event rock and Ronnie? Because the place to buy is Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram out on the pike. I'm ready, Randy. Check this out. A 2024 Jeep Compass Sport four-wheel drive, 27,090 or $398 a month. 2024 Jeep Compass Sport 4x4, 27,090 or $398 a month. Or take your pick, a 2023 Dodge Challenger RT or a 2024 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Tracer, two-wheel drive, $38,990 or $579 a month. Rocky Ronnie says try past the rest and come to the Nasdaq. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram out on the pike. Or shop us anytime online at GossettMotorCars.net. At 7.99, Ram and Challenger 5,000 down, Jeep 4,000 down, Challenger PH 574221, MSRP 52,315, Jeep RT 173869, MSRP 28,090, 0% for 36 months. Grand Cherokee and Wrangler price includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. All exclude tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
East Memphis Ace Hardware is more than just a hardware store. It's really a customer service store with 20 employees along with complete inventory of items. Big to little. Finding what you need is easy. Choosing from a complete selection of Big Green Egg as well as Traeger and Herb Grills. And the Garden Center has everything for your yard. You can get glass, cut, repair screens, and your keys to a complete farm program. Tools, nuts, bolts, screws. You need it. East Memphis Ace Hardware has them. They're just down the street at the corner of Wilson White Station.
There are jewelry stores, and then there's Genesis Diamonds, the cutting-edge industry leader, the pioneer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and it's no secret that jewelry stores across America watch what Genesis is doing. Genesis was the first to offer
Genesis has the fashion-forward brands other stores aren't even allowed to carry. It's no wonder you see jewelers from other stores going to Genesis to see what they're all about. For selection, quality, service, warranties, and guarantees, Genesis leads, others follow. So for diamonds, engagement rings, exclusive designer jewelry for any occasion, and luxury brand complexes, don't compromise. Get to the jewelry that set the industry standards year after year. Get to Genesis Diamonds on Outlook and Markets Extended.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack, Sportsworthy, and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and talk some bets here in a minute with Alan Bell. But some good games over the weekend. Obviously, some marquee games. But a lot of eyes are going to be on the local teams that, you know, are unfortunately playing FCS opponents. We've already talked about Ole Miss. We've talked about Memphis. You're going to have Tennessee in a matchup against Chattanooga. So I think some interesting games, but definitely plenty of games to pick from with Allen on the slate for tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, there are a lot of good games this weekend. I think next weekend's schedule is a lot better.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, definitely, 100%. I believe we got Alan now. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. As always, Alan Bell joining us from the AB3 and driving the line. What'd you make of kind of the two big games last night with Colorado, North Dakota State, and then the North Carolina and Minnesota game?
Yeah, man. First off, appreciate you guys having me back. You know what? I'll tell you this. As somebody who bet on Colorado, I don't know why I thought that Dion would start covering somebody now. He didn't do it any time in his No, I'm just kidding, man. What we've seen the first, kind of week and a half or, however you count week 0 in is that we've seen some pretty tight games, and we've seen underdogs that are covering spreads, right?
Yep.
It goes to show that defense is ahead of offense, man. Except for Colorado, their defense is non-existent. They got some problems over there, but I'll give Shedeur Sanders credit. That dude is a real quarterback, man. He gets hit constantly. He stays in the pocket and fights. And then, North Carolina, Minnesota, a tight one, right? Minnesota had a chance to win that one. Didn't do it, but get the push on the bet there. But, man, underdogs so far. That's what we've seen.
Yeah.
Alan, let's get into this weekend's games. Anything out there tonight that you love?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. All right, so first off, look, these are going to be a little, you're going to have to, dig a little bit. Temple and Oklahoma, I like the second half, over 23.5. Quite frankly, I like the over in this game. I think that Oklahoma is going to score a ton of points. But if you don't want to have to eat, 56.5, whatever that number sits at right now, 57.5 actually, you can put the second half over of 23.5, and that will count both teams. And generally with these, massive underdogs, when they score, it's in the second half, and Oklahoma won't stop either. I like TCU tonight against Stanford. I like them in the first half at 5.5. I like them in the full game at 8.5. I think that TCU handles their business. Why? You remember last year, game 1 against Colorado, where they lost and came out, and that started the entire Dion thing. I don't think they do that again tonight. So, those two, man, that's what I like.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the second half of OU and Temple. What was that?
So it's over 23.5 in the second half.
Okay.
Got it. Yep.
I like that one. Oh, we'll get into it tomorrow. We got some really good matchups in the morning. The big one everyone's talking about, a top 25 matchup, Georgia and Clemson. Right now, last I checked at least, Georgia about a 13-point favorite in that one. What do you like tomorrow in Atlanta?
Yeah, I like Georgia here, man. I know that number's large, but it's dropping a little bit, right? You're seeing it getting down to 11. Look, I think Georgia's way too good for Clemson. I'm not big on Dabo much. I think that Clemson's taken a step back the last few years, and I think that, with Kirby Smart, one thing that you can expect, when it's a real big-time game, they show up. They come hard. They're prepared, right? Kirby Smart is not letting his team kind of slack off or anything like that. And I'm not saying Dabo does. Look, I'm not saying anything negative about him, but I just trust Georgia way more in this situation. Give me the Bulldogs. I'll take it with that number.
I had not noticed that drop. We're going to pick it at 5:30, but we're keying off 13.5 because that's what it was when we kind of send the games out to everybody and we all fish off the same dock. So, but 2 points could be big in that game. I got that game 27-13 Georgia. So
Wow.
2's real big.
Real big. Yeah, you're exactly right. And what did you say? You said 27-13. That's what you got.
Yeah, 27-13.
Wow.
Kirby
Nice.
and the Dogs.
There we go. Look, you got Georgia. Look, you got a total sitting at 48.5. That might be a really nice under in that game. I like that play. I like that look.
Backyard Brawl also at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. I guess Big Noon, that's where they will be. Penn State and Morgantown to play West Virginia. What a great rivalry. A lot of people thinking West Virginia could be one of a myriad of teams to come out of the Big 12. What about Penn State and West Virginia?
Yeah, so we're sitting looking at Penn State, 7.5 point favorite. That number's dropped from 8.5, even some 9s out there earlier in the week. Look, I like Penn State here, and I'll tell you why. It's nothing against West Virginia, but I think that James Franklin understands exactly what time it is this year, and especially with the college football playoff opening up and more opportunities, it's about time to get this thing going. They've been right there, but they need to get that offense to start scoring some points, and I think that they do that this year. Give me Penn State minus 7.5. I think they cover, even though West Virginia, one of the greatest fight songs ever in college football. But, yeah, give me Penn State, man. I think this is too good.
I saw Penn State quarterback Drew Aller in the bowl game, and I know hard to judge off one game, but I'm going to. I think he's a sack of unathletic bones.
That's been the problem, man. It's just like James Franklin got all these offensive stars at Vanderbilt. It's like you can't get them at Penn State. Like, what's going on, man? They got to get some points up, man. Their defense obviously has played great, for the last few years, but dude, you can't win every game 13-10. You can't be Iowa here.
No, not at all. Tomorrow night, a big game between Texas A&M and Notre Dame. We've been talking about this game a lot this week. A&M right now about a 3-point favorite. That total sitting at 46.5. What do you like in this one in College Station tomorrow night?
I'm all over Notre Dame. Give me Notre Dame here. I don't even want the points. Give me money line straight up. Wow. I think Notre Dame wins this game. And quite frankly, I think Notre Dame's a much better team than Texas A&M. But look, and again, I'm not being super negative on A&M, but they got a lot of changes, got themselves, a new head coach who, even though, was there for a little bit. Like, I just feel that Notre Dame has more talent. I feel that they have more just understanding and cohesiveness in regards to their offense and their defense. But I think that Notre Dame's going to be a problem, and I think that they're going to force Texas A&M to play at the pace that they want, speed it up, slow it down, and you don't know which one you're going to get. I like Notre Dame. Give me Notre Dame straight up. I don't even want the points. I'll take a money line.
Alan, that money line play, and we know Notre Dame, they don't dodge anybody anytime, and they always have a very, very good opening day opponent. They're around 87% all time just winning on opening day or not.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. They've been playing football in South Bend for a long time, man. And you're right. They don't duck anybody. They get heck for it for not being in the conference, but their schedule's usually pretty tough, man.
Mm-hmm. No, it absolutely is. Sunday night, we got feels like football every single night this week, but Sunday we've got LSU and USC, and I was kind of talking about this game earlier this week about these are two teams that are very similar in terms of what they were last year. Both teams lost a Heisman Trophy winner at the quarterback position. Both teams have a lot of question marks defensively. Right now, LSU about a 4-point favorite. What do you like in Vegas Sunday night?
I love LSU in this game. Now, look, USC's had a lot of changes in the offseason. They're now playing in the Big Ten. They tried to get out of this game. LSU wouldn't let them. I know that the game's being played in Las Vegas. It will be a home game for LSU, I assure you on that one. And I think that Brian Kelly's the better coach. And quite frankly, I saw USC last year. Buddy, that was Caleb Williams, and that was it. That team had no defense. They had nobody else. And not that LSU was world beaters last year, but you know what? I think they go pound for pound talent-wise against anybody in the country. You can just look it up, line up the roster. And I think that LSU is going to go out and handle their business. Now, you got a total sitting at 64.5. Go ahead and take that over because both teams will score points. But if you're asking me for the spread, I like LSU, man. I'll give me the 4, even though an odd number but that's what you like on the first week. I'm thinking.
And it makes me really think if Lincoln Riley had that kind of year, would he listen to some offers more back in this part of the world, in the Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Big 12, SEC footprint? Because everything about that SC job he took on day one, it has changed. And now it was mutual with Ole Miss to get out of the game next year or for the next 2 years. But there's even conversation that he wants out of the Notre Dame series because it's just too much meat on the bone in the Big Ten for him.
Yeah, look, I get it. Like, now, I don't think that's going to happen, and I'd hate to see it because obviously the rivalry is fantastic. But, like, I do sympathize with him on that. Like, I understand it, man. Like,
I do too.
It's not only it's not only the change of the teams you're playing, but like look at the travel schedule now. Like we talk about Stanford being in the ACC. Like these West Coast teams are going to have to travel super far now. It changes the dynamic, man, of the season. And you're just not familiar with these teams or the stadiums or anything like that. Like I totally get it. But hey, buddy, you took the money, you took the house they gave you. Now you got to deal with it. So yeah, I mean, I feel for him, but it is Southern Cal. Like you can recruit there. You know what I mean?
Alan, so true. I would imagine life in that tax bracket's really tough.
Exactly. Like, I'm not going to feel too terribly bad for somebody making millions and the house was free. All right, I can't rank you on that one.
No, not at all. Alan, we need to get to a break, but last thing for you before we let you go, is there any games that you really, really like here in week one that we didn't have enough time to get to?
Yes, Florida State. I think that they had the worst week of practice in terms of everyone yelling at them. I like them in the first half to cover the spread. I like them to cover the spread at home against Boston College. Take Florida State points if you like team totals. They're going to come out and score at home. I bet that they have not stopped hearing about how atrocious they were. So, yeah, Florida State on Monday.
I like it. Well, Alan, enjoy week one, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Hey, look forward to it, boys. Y'all have a good one, man. Take care.
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bell joining us from the AB3 and driving the line, as always, bringing it, but a little more juice to him with it being week one of the college football season. But we need to go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, all week we've been going through the team schedules, wins and losses for every team in the American, every team in the SEC. The only two we have left, Memphis and Ole Miss. We'll tell you what we think they'll do this season. We'll also talk about the tough games on their schedules. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Drive like a pro and support a great cause during the sales drive at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, and Landers Ford North in Covington. We've provided over 100 new Fords to be driven by the pros at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Now they're all being sold with demo prices. That's right. Over 100 new Fords driven by the pros are being sold with demo pricing below market value. A portion of the proceeds go directly to the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. This is a once-a-year opportunity to trade up and drive like a pro while supporting a great cause. Visit LandersMemphis.com. That's LandersMemphis.com. Or come see us at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, or Landers Ford North in Covington. With our Landers Easy Pass, you can get top dollar for your trade-in to help you save even more. Don't miss your chance. Reserve your demo price new Ford driven by a pro at the FedEx St. Jude Championship and lock in low APR financing. Remember, if it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. the rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 5 Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Memphis, it's official. Crab King Seafood is where it's at. For the most flavored seafood and the biggest plates, run to a Crab King's near you. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. The price, the portions, the service is why Crab King's is number one. So don't be disappointed in seafood. Make the right choice the first time and every time. Make it Crab King's. Crab King's have only locally grown catfish. Come and devour tasty snow crabs, king crab, shrimp, salmon, catfish, calamari, and so much more. Enjoy Memphis's best tasting pasta with your choice of toppings. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. Crab King's is open Wednesday through Sunday. Enjoy 50% off lunch portions and dollar fountain drinks. The number one name in Cajun seafood is Crab King's Seafood, a Memphis favorite. Crab King, 7140 Stage Road. Kings with the Z.
A lot of ladies here in Memphis are wearing beautiful diamond rings. Have you noticed? And a lot of gentlemen are wearing nice Rolex watches now. It's all thanks to Genesis Diamonds. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine at Genesis Diamonds has made fine jewelry more affordable than ever. This is Tennessee's direct diamond import. No middleman pricing on the finest GIA certified diamonds. All shapes, all sizes, all in prices you never thought possible. And Genesis is the only jeweler that carries the top bridal designers in America. So you can find the perfect setting to showcase that diamond and have a truly one-of-a-kind ring. And something that I love, their incredible collection of luxury premium Rolex watches. These are all in pristine condition and priced right. Thanks to Genesis, you can get that Rolex you've dreamed about. All this with no commission salespeople, no pricing games, no pressure, no nonsense. Genesis Diamonds is the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans. And popular agreements extended or online at GenesisDiamonds.com.
Are you looking to save on gas? Well, we got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike with 41 MPG Highway and your new 2024 Kia Forte LXS. $199 a month, $37.99 to its signing. Or how about a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite with 0% APR available for 48 months? Or get 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month, $49.99 to its signing. All 24-month lease. Plus, you always get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike or online 24/7, 365 at KiaCovingtonPike.com. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Acquisition fee $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE 794-066, MSRP 21820, EV9 R60 29603, MSRP 61035. Lease terms include all rebates and incentives, and PF 695 includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 8/31/24. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack, Sportsworthy, and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And all week we've been going through the SEC and the American, doing wins and losses for all of the conference members. And it leads us to today, the final day, where we will talk about Memphis and Ole Miss. I know, Brett, you have said a couple of times what you have both these teams, but let's just say it one more time to get it on record. I'll start with mine. I have the Tigers 10-2 on the season, and I'm doing it more out of superstition. I hope they're undefeated. I think they have a good chance of definitely being better than 10-2. My only two losses, I've mentioned them before, at Florida State and then the very last game of the season at Tulane. And for Ole Miss, I have them 11-1 in the season, with that lone loss being at home against Georgia on November 9th.
Yeah, that's the same thing I have for Ole Miss, 11-1 with the loss at home to Georgia. Now, there are plenty of other places. I've talked a lot of times about hadn't won in Baton Rouge since 08, hadn't won in Fayetteville since 08, hadn't won in Florida at the Swamp since 08, hadn't won at South Carolina since 04. That's the 4 SEC road games. I'm not that concerned about Wake Forest or on the road at Wake Forest or Kentucky at home. My one loss is to Georgia as well. For Memphis, I have hinted around it all summer. I've told many off there. I've made predictions in some public places, but not here yet. I have been 12-0 for the Tigers. I'm not scared of that. I'm a little more scared of it now after Georgia Tech beat FSU than I would have been before it. I wanted FSU to just get really scared, to get close to the edge against Georgia Tech and maybe even Monday night against Boston College, and then the Tigers spring the ballyhooed upset. Now, if FSU loses Monday night to Boston College, the prospect of them starting 0-3, I think, is remote. The prospect of them starting 1-2, I think, is pretty far fetched. But I'm going to stay with it. And if the Tigers beat them and FSU drops 1-2 after that game, or even 0-3, it's sad that that won't have the shine nationally that it would have, the kind of the oomph that it would have. Because if Memphis loses that game, I think they can lose one conference game and be 10-2 on the year, and then win the AAC championship game and still be the G5 qualifier. Sure. But we know that would be the 12 seed. We're going to do our bracket at 4:30. I have 12-0. I have winning the AAC championship game, so that's 13-0 for the Tigers, and that is not 12 seed. A really strong case could be made if you have a 2-loss ACC and a 2-loss Big 12. Why wouldn't Memphis be the 3? Now that is dulled by FSU losing opening day to Georgia Tech. You didn't need that. As much fun as it was, and to see DJU is always stuck on average. But really didn't need that. The Tigers, we know the pitfalls for the Tigers. We know the games they can lose, of course, at Tallahassee, and then the AAC roadies for them. I don't think there's anything at home that Memphis should be scared of, but on the road at USF, at Texas San Antonio, and at Tulane, I think will be a challenge, but a challenge they can overcome. Next week against Troy, I do think with 6 minutes to play, it could be uncomfortably close. But Memphis will win that game, and I've stood by it. I'm going to stay with it, even with the upset last week. The 12-0 Memphis year, 23 regular season wins for Memphis and Ole Miss. We will never have that many again in any of our lives.
Yeah, no, we absolutely will not. And so it could definitely be a magical season for both these teams. I'm glad you brought up Troy, because we've kind of both talked about this Troy game a lot this offseason. I've made it, a point to find out when Troy plays this weekend and to circle that game and to watch it, to kind of know what to expect next week, because I think a lot of people are going to watch tomorrow's game for the Tigers. Hopefully they're going to see a big win, and they're going to go, okay, 2 weeks against Florida State, 2 weeks against Florida State, and that countdown is going to start, and they're not even going to think about Troy. And Troy's going to come in here, and they're going to want to prove something, and I think you're going to play well. So, I am a little worried about that game at home, but that's the only home game that really scares me on this schedule.
Brian, I know we're close to the break, but I haven't heard everybody's pickers, and I didn't pick 12-0 to try to be different and be the only one. I don't think anybody else has that, do they?
I haven't heard it.
Have you heard any 11-1s and the only loss being FSU?
Sure.
So
those are
so
out
that's
there.
out there.
Yes.
And I would say a lot in 10-2s. I'm trying to get to this point. So a lot of 10-2s, a couple 11-1s, no 12-0s. Have you heard a single 9-3?
Not that comes to mind, no.
And there's none in the Ole Miss world. There's not a single person in the Ole Miss world that's prepared for, even with a win over Mississippi State and finish the regular season 9-3 and go to the Citrus Bowl and play and beat Wisconsin. Sure. There's not a single person that will be acceptable to.
No.
It's 10 or north for both teams in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And with Ole Miss, we've talked so much about Memphis, but for Ole Miss, after how that season ended last year with that big win over Penn State, and then, one by one, those guys are saying, let's run it back, I'm coming back. And so you brought back so many pieces from that great team last year. You added more in the portal. And so, yeah, I think everyone expecting a special year.
And again, I said it yesterday, and I do not mean this with any malice. With any, I don't want. I'm not saying this being that snooty guy. I mentioned if Ole Miss has that 9-3, well, they go off to Orlando to the Citrus Bowl. The Tigers, even 12-0, stub their toe in that AAC championship game. You're going to the Boca Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the that's the shame with Memphis is with this conference. You slip up and you go from that
who's who to who's he.
Great time of going to the playoffs to just a middle of the day, no name bowl game, against probably another group of 5 team. But I think we're both very high on both these teams and expect really, really promising seasons from them. But we need to wrap up this hour and get to a break. And when we come back, we're going to do some more wagering. Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BamSports.net. He'll join us to talk about all these games in Week 1. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Hello, sports fans out there. Walker Taylor here with the Germantown and Collierville Commissary. We just celebrated our 43rd year in business, and I would like to thank our fantastic customers and especially our loyal staff. Time has flown by. We now have a second location, Poplar and Houston Levy in Collierville. Catering is a specialty of ours. 50 to 5,000, no job too small, no job too big. Full service or self-service. We also have a party room in Collierville that is great for rehearsal dinners, business meetings, you name it, we'd love to have you. Also, our barbecue party packs start at $8.75 a person. Barbecue, beans, slaw, bun sauce, including serving utensils. Especially great for tailgating with football season coming up. Commissary restaurants also believe in giving back to the community. Possibly you have been approached by somebody selling a barbecue 6-pack coupon for fundraising. Cheerleading groups, church groups, anything to help a worthy cause. Holidays are near. Smoked hams and smoked turkeys will be on the pit before you know it. Come see us at Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Also check us out at commissarybarbecue.com.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything, online to hybrid courses, lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. Undergraduate and most graduate courses start September 18th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by SHAD.
All 650 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE794066, MSRP 21820. Telluride RG543666, MSRP 39835. EV9 R602 29603, MSRP 61035. Lease terms include all rebates and incentives and a PF 695. Includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 8/31/24. Dealer stock only.
Hey, yo, Jeff Allen, what's up over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
I know what's down, Randy. Prices at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah. You looking to save? 41 MPG Highway in a 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $37.99 due at signing. I've got a 2024 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $379 per month, $39.99 due at signing. And Randy, talk about saving big bucks. 304 EPA estimate range for $389 a month in a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite, $49.99 due at signing, all 24-month lease.
Plus the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia, to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They were moving some debris on 40 westbound at Chelsea over in the Midtown area. It's trying to get busy out here on some of the major outbound routes like 55 down through South Haven into DeSoto County. It's still moving over here right now, 40 east from Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, GameSports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with Captain in Sports Talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Brian and Brett.
Well, we're working to get a hold of Bruce to talk some plays, as we already got a lot of plays from Alan Bell earlier this afternoon. And we'll see what Bruce has. And it's always kind of interesting to hear from Bruce's perspective on a lot of things. But mainly when there's a big event in Vegas, I like to hear that, if he's staying in Vegas or not, because a lot of times he likes to get out of there, especially when, there's a lot of traffic for these big-time events and big-time games. So we're working to get with Bruce, and hopefully we can get some picks from him in a second. But, a lot of really good games to pick from this weekend, and, probably a lot of the same games we talked with Alan about with, this Georgia-Clemson game and the fact that, Alan told us a minute ago, I hadn't really been paying attention to it, but it's now moving in favor of Clemson. And I don't really know why that is, but it feels like there's money coming in on Clemson, but I still feel very confident that Georgia's going to win this game and that Georgia's going to win this game pretty handily. I don't really think that this is going to be a tight game down the stretch because I just think Georgia's that much better than pretty much everybody they play. But we'll see tomorrow. That's going to be the definitely the marquee game at 11 a.m.
I thought it was something that Alan Bell just jumped all over Notre Dame in that money line. We'll pick it at 5:30. And I heard this morning, who was it, said that I heard Mike Greenberg say that he talked about Kyle Field in College Station, that it's one of the loudest places on the planet. And I was watching this morning on TV, and I said, no, it's not. I mean, it is at the beginning of the game for about 10 minutes after they kind of get the group yell going. But it's not. It's no superimposing place to play. It's that is vastly overdone with my experience having gone there now a bunch since A&M's joined SEC. In fact, the loudest, the most intimidating it was that first year Ole Miss went down there in 2014. That was Ole Miss' first game the week after they defeated Alabama in the famous Katy Perry weekend in Oxford. We go down there at Saturday night primetime, and it's still the largest crowd in the history of the state of Texas. To see a college football game will never be broken because even Kyle Field reduced capacity with their remodel after they redid Kyle Stadium, so it doesn't even seat that many now. And it was really loud for about 10 minutes that night, and Ole Miss played really, really, really well, especially the first three quarters, and quieted them down. The other 3 or 4 times I've been down there since since A&M joined the SEC, it's very quiet.
Sure. Well, and I know we talked earlier in the summer about the fact that the new college football video game was coming out, and they were putting out a bunch of ratings, and they put Kyle Field as the number 1 loudest, toughest place to play, and a lot of people were pretty upset about that, and it eventually got to the point where they changed it. They moved them from number 1 to like number 11, and so it feels like a lot of people that have been down there in that environment, but they agree with you that yes, on the outside, it looks great, and you see it on TV and it's packed and there's a bunch of people there. But in terms of actually being loud, intimidating, tough place to play, it is not number 1.
No, it's just not. I mean, in the SEC, going to a game, especially in the Saban years at Alabama, even not in the Saban years, at Alabama, at Auburn, at LSU, at Knoxville, and that's in no certain order, at Florida, at Georgia, they're all tougher. That's just vastly overdone about Kyle Field.
Yeah, but it's going to be a good game because they're going to be rocking tomorrow night with Notre Dame coming in and that brand and who they are, and I think a lot of expectations this season for Notre Dame and maybe a chance of getting in the college football playoffs. So I think that atmosphere is going to be good tomorrow night, and we'll see which one of those teams can make the most plays to win the game.
Yeah. We're trying to get a hold of Bruce Marshall. He says he's trying to call us, and we're trying to call him, and we can't get either accomplished.
Yeah, no, we're having, I believe, some phone issues at the moment, so hopefully we can get that resolved. But I guess in the meantime, we'll just we'll talk some ball, and
we will.
Definitely a good weekend of games.
We were talking about the Tigers and Ole Miss in the last segment. That was an abbreviated segment, so we can visit more about that. And it's been the build-up and the hype really all year with both those teams coming off those bowl wins. I love to tell people that want to run the bowl system down that say nobody's interested. Well, both of those teams, this summer of love, this momentum, this hype, came after those big bowl wins. Memphis in the hometown Liberty Bowl over Iowa State, and for Ole Miss down in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. I think a lot of people that really take the enjoyment of running down the bowls around bowl time, and we hear it every year, I think that's from a lot of people that's either not going to one or got beat in one.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that, and we'll definitely see. But I think we got Bruce Marshall with us now. Bruce, how's it going? Sorry about the phone issues, but glad we got you on now.
Yeah. I think I might have hit the one spot in the world in the universe where I couldn't get a phone signal, so I don't know what was going on there, but we're okay now.
No worries. Well, let's hop into these games. I think a good slate for week 1. Obviously, a lot of FCS games, but one early tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., a top 25 matchup between Clemson and Georgia. I know it was sitting about 13.5 in favor of Georgia, but over the last couple of hours, it's starting to move in favor of Clemson. I think last time we looked, it was about 11.5 for Georgia. That total sitting about 48.5. What do you like in that first game tomorrow morning?
Yeah, Brian, I sort of understand that move. I lean to Clemson a little bit. I like the under a little bit more. Georgia's had these issues at running back, and last year they didn't cover all the games last year either. I mean, we know how good they were, but they were not a point spread terror. Although the last we saw them, they looked great, of course, in the bowl against Florida State. And of course, Dabo's coming in here trying to, he's a one-man band against the portal here. But Klubnik's got another year under his belt. This is the difference mostly between the game 3 years ago, which was at Charlotte, in the same spot, opening weekend. 10-3. Quarterbacks that day were DJU and JTD. That's JT Daniels on the Georgia side. So Klubnik and Carson Beck, obviously you've got a little bit more established firepower at quarterback there. So they'll score more points in that 10-3 game a few years ago. But I don't think they'll get above 48.5. Clemson, Georgia games have historically been defensive wars, and there's still some questions on both sides. There was some of the weaponry around their quarterbacks. So I'm going to put it 23-14. I'm going to put Georgia to win, but Clemson to maybe hang within that spread and to stay well under that 48.5 in Mercedes-Benz tomorrow.
Bruce, their first game in the SEC, it's not a conference game, and Texas is a huge favorite over Colorado State. 33.5 points for Texas, and tonight Oklahoma against Temple in their first game as members of the SEC. What do you think Texas will do with Colorado State tomorrow? Feels like we'll see a lot of Arch Manning maybe in the second half.
Well, we might. I think that what we've got to watch with Texas here right now, I mean, there are some questions about their secondary, and they're trying to retool back there. And Braden Fowler, Nicholisi for Colorado State can whip the ball around pretty well. This is the 9th-ranked passing offense in the country last year. Jay Norvell, that's right down his alley, and that's what he did at Nevada, too, and that's what he did last year at Colorado State. They were a better team last year than they were the year before, though their record's still under 500, but they made progress last year. So I'm not quite sure Texas is going to handle this number, Brett. It could be, 33 looks a little bit puffy. Now, last night, we did see a lot of the big favorites against the FCS foes. You saw a lot of blowout results last night. However, handful of games even last weekend where you had FBS versus FBS, the underdogs came in pretty good. So I think this might be one of those spots. I actually lean to Colorado State a little bit.
Wow, that'd be interesting. Another game tomorrow morning, Penn State and West Virginia. I know Big Noon will be there on Fox. The atmosphere is already crazy. I think they shut down school because of the anticipated traffic jams for this weekend. I know Pat McAfee was up there earlier today. Right now, Penn State about a 7.5-point favorite over West Virginia. That total sitting about 50.5. What do you like in that one, Bruce?
West Virginia, I'm glad they're playing this again. It's just sort of temporary. This used to be an annual rivalry back when the East used to have these games every year before Penn State started dreaming about the Big Ten, and the whole region splintered. Last year they played at Happy Valley, and the score was 38-15, but a little bit deceiving. James Franklin jammed in a score in the last minute there to get over the 21-point spread. He could have took a knee, and he didn't. So I wonder if Neil Brown has forgotten about that. I'm sure the fans haven't. I'm sure the fans who bet on West Virginia haven't. Neil Brown did a great job last year. We talked about this last year, guys. He was under the gun, and he pulled out a good season. He stuck in a house with his new quarterback. He didn't go in the portal to get a guy. He stuck with Garrett Green, who had been in the program. Green delivered a pretty good year. They ran the ball like heck last year. This fullback, Donaldson, is about 240. He comes in there like a big truck. Third-ranked rushing team in the country. They are going to challenge Penn State tomorrow. Drew Aller, he doesn't throw the ball downfield all that much. That's what he's got to do. It's a lot of dink and dunk. And James Franklin is going to have, usually these games on the road, the big games, Penn State doesn't win. They beat Auburn a couple of years ago, but Auburn wasn't that good when they played them. This is a much tougher test. West Virginia's going to hang within there. I'm not sure they can win. 27-24 score forecast for Penn State, but I'm going to take points with the Mountaineers.
An FCS game that I think the FBS team should be on alert for, and they sometimes start slow. Oklahoma State hosting South Dakota State. Oklahoma State, they play Arkansas next week in Stillwater, but they play South Dakota State tomorrow in Stillwater, and they've been installed as a 10-point favorite.
South Dakota State is really, really good. They come in there, after winning the playoffs last year. They outscored, I think, like 146-15 in the playoffs. Gronkowski, a really good quarterback. I mean, this is an FCS team only in name. I mean, they could compete, I think, in the Big 12 and a lot, certainly in the CUSA and a lot of leagues like that. We saw North Dakota State last night put up a real good fight against Colorado. I don't know why South Dakota State shouldn't either. McAfee said something very interesting last Saturday in the pregame show. He said, I don't want to have anything to do with any team named Dakota. And he specifically meant North Dakota State and South Dakota State. We will see about Oak State. This is going to be a challenge for Mike Gundy. And also, we'll see about if Ollie Gordon gets his Heisman campaign going, because a lot of people think if there's a running back that might finally break that drought of running backs winning the Heisman, it could be Gordon. But I'm not convinced about Alan Bowman at quarterback. He had some very pedestrian numbers last year. This could be a close game. Oklahoma State 31-27, but the Jackrabbits keep this thing pretty close.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's going to be weird the next couple of weeks. That mid-afternoon game, 2:30 here, our time, and instead of flipping it to CBS to see SEC games, you'll be flipping it to ABC to see that signature SEC game. But Saturday, it's a big game in the state of Florida, Miami and Florida. Right now, Miami a slight favorite in that one. I believe 2.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 54.5. What do you like tomorrow in the Swamp?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that one up. I don't know why Miami's got to be favored at all here. It is not in Miami. Not that that's been much of an advantage for them anyway. Mario Cristobal has done no better than Billy Napier has done the last couple of years. Now, there's more pressure on Napier because Florida, that's the way Florida is. But as soon as those boosters get a little tired of Cristobal, he's going to be feeling some heat too. I remind everybody that 2 years ago, Tyler Van Dyke came into the 2022 season looking like a potential Heisman long shot that year. He really showed well the last half of the previous season when Manny Diaz was still there. And he flopped. And he did 2 years, he didn't do anything, and now he's transferred to Wisconsin. I am not that much sold on Cristobal, and I am not that much sold on Cam Ward, either coming from Washington State. He does a lot of dink and dunk. I know Martinez from Oregon State, pretty good transfer running back. There's a Pac-12 feel about Miami. But I need to see a little bit more from Cristobal. This game's in the Swamp. Graham Mertz looked okay last year at quarterback. Napier said he looks better. They're ready to go with this offense. I think Florida wins this game, so I'm going to call it 26-20 Gators. And, it's false alert. But for some reason, everybody seems obligated, the odds makers in the press, to respect Miami, and I don't get it because Cristobal hasn't earned it, and Miami certainly hasn't. They've been a bad point spread team the last few years, too.
Kalen DeBoer filling the biggest shoes in the history of the sport following Nick Saban at Alabama and 31.5-point favorites over Western Kentucky.
Yeah, my first thought here is Western Kentucky might be kind of live. We've talked about Tyson Helton before. They've got, TJ Finley is now, talk about a peripatetic career, winding his way through the SEC, and last year down at Texas State. Now he's here at Western Kentucky, but he put up some big numbers last year at Texas State. And Tyson Helton has had several quarterbacks come through there, including Bailey Zappi, who put up some really big numbers. The only thing that worries me about this game for Western Kentucky is last year they went into Ohio State and they really got smoked. It was 63-10. I know DeBoer would like to get off quick. But Brett's right. I mean, these are the biggest shoes I can remember filling in a long, long time. And you wonder, unless Washington was not a great point spread team last year, and a lot of big spreads. It's not that easy just to go out and beat a competent foe by like 5 touchdowns. And I'm not sure Bama's going to do it. So my score forecast will be 48-20 here for Alabama. They'll win, no trouble, but they had better spots than 31.5 to lay, I think.
You know, Bruce, when the SEC, for a lot of our existence, it was 10 teams. T.J. Finley was at 3 of them. Bama, LSU, and Auburn. He was at 30% of the old SEC. And he was bad at all of the spots.
I know. I mean, if they look for a guy to join with Feinbaum and Jordan Rogers next year, bring him in because he knows every SEC school like the back of his hand.
He's Johnny Cash. He's been everywhere, man. Bruce Marshall with us, Vegas Insider, with us every Friday on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. T.J. Finley got to college football, and it hits for a lot of people. Wow, everybody in college is as big and fast as I am. I was bigger than faster than everybody in high school.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's amazing how that doesn't quite work as well. But he's had a long career. By the way, one other note, Max Johnson last night, we saw him get hurt, feel bad for him. If he misses this year, he might be able to come back next year for North Carolina, and he's been in the SEC as well. And he could be a 7 or 8 year college player. We'll see.
Jeez.
Just pale in comparison to T.J. Finley. Just 2 spots in the SEC and North Carolina, and 1 in the old SEC 10. Bruce Marshall, give us your favorite game that we haven't gotten to, and maybe one way off the radar that most people may not be focused on.
Well, and here's a good one, Sunday in Las Vegas. Now, I'm not in Las Vegas. I'm not going back for a couple of weeks, and I'll be there the rest of the fall. But all those guys, Jimmy Ott and all those guys from Baton Rouge, they are tearing up Las Vegas right now. And there's a lot of LSU fans there for this USC game Sunday night, and it is a pretty colorful game. And, the last 2 Heisman winners, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, are not there anymore. But I'm not sure these offenses are going to drop off too much. We saw Nussmeier for LSU look great in the bowl against Wisconsin. We saw Moss for USC look really good in the bowl game against Louisville. And their offenses will be fine. It's where the defenses are here. Both these coaches have brought in new coordinators this year. Here's the angle, though. Total is moving up. Last I saw, 64. USC into this season, 21-6 to the over. That's since Lincoln Riley got there. LSU since midway 2022, 19-2 to the over. Yeah, I know the quarterbacks have moved on, but these are some overwhelming totals trends. And if you think this is going to be the same sort of game that these teams have played the last couple of years, it's going to get over. So I look over LSU, USC Sunday. One other one from under the radar tomorrow. I'm going to give Fresno State a shot. 3 touchdowns at Michigan. This ain't the same Michigan this year. No McCarthy, no Quorum. Oh, yeah, no Jim Harbaugh either. Plenty of distractions coming in. It's pretty much a new offense. And Sharon Moore, jury's still very much out on him. Fresno, Jeff Tedford's had to step down. But Tim Skipper, promoted as an interim, Tedford has some health issues here, like he's had before. Skipper has stepped in before. They've got a pretty experienced team back, including Mikey Keene, who was a quarterback at USF before he went to Fresno. 3 touchdowns is too much for Michigan, and total rebuild mode to late. Fresno ain't that bad, so I'll take the points.
I like it. A lot of great picks today. I know a lot of people excited about week 1 of college football. Bruce, where can people find you with college football kicking up?
Yeah, all these places. You mentioned Vegas Insider, VegasInsider.com, CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com, and this new one up on Winners and Winers.com, also PicksandParlays.com. I got picks all over the place. We'll start having NFL in there next week, Major League Baseball. It is a fun time of year.
Yes, it is.
And Bruce, you get well. We know after you joined us last Friday, a little health scare, but all A-OK now. And you fought the pavement, and the pavement won.
The pavement won. In fact, I was just getting the stitches out today. Now I don't look quite as good as new, but I'm getting back to close to normal.
Well, then I'm changing the decision. I'm saying you won over the pavement. Then.
All right.
There we go.
Bruce, thank you, and you get better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you, my friend. Bruce Marshall with us every Friday. He joins us like all our guests do on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Last Friday, after he joined Bryant and crew and Connor, he had a embolism attack instant with some and Zach as well last Friday, and with some blood clotting issues. And he thought it was the heat at first, felt faint, and took a nasty spill, and has had a very challenging week. But he's doing better
really
now.
Scary.
really scary, and we're glad he's okay. He's one of the best. But he's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, as all our guests do, in that great location for Sissy's Log Cabin. It's at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones and his great team, they're here to stay. They're the official jeweler for the hometown teams, the Tigers and the Grizzlies, and at FedEx Forum with the fabulous floor seat lounge. You can see a lot of that beautiful jewelry on display when you're down there at Grizzlies games. Sissy's offers a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. And coming up next week, when we start looking back at the weekend of the SEC, they'll be the sponsor of that, bringing you all the look back at the SEC coverage that we will have. 9,000 square foot store in Larwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, Brett, all summer, all off-season, we've been taking stabs at our 12-team college football playoff. But we've always said this is not the real one. This is the early one, way too early one. But now it becomes official. When we come back from this break, we're going to reveal our official preseason 12-team college football playoff predictions. We're doing that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance Team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Are you looking to save on gas? Well, we got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike with 41 in Beachy Highway and your new 2024 Kia Forte LXS. $199 a month, $37.99 to its signing. Or how about a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite with 0% APR available for 48 months? Or get 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month, $49.99 to its signing. All 24-month lease. Plus, you always get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike, or online 24/7, 365 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Acquisition fee $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE 794066, MSRP 21820, EV9 R60 29603, MSRP 61035. Lease terms include all rebates and incentives, and PF 695 includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 8/31/24. Dealer stock only.
Getting engaged soon? Don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis Diamonds has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made in the USA from names like Tacori, Carraggio, and dozens more. Not even allowed to sell these amazing brands, but you can get them at Genesis. This is one amazing store owned by a former diamond wholesaler. Every diamond is straight from the cutter with rock bottom prices, and nothing's held back. They'll show you the inside secrets of the diamond business and teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. They can also explain the differences between natural and lab-grown diamonds, so you can buy with total confidence. We're lucky to have Genesis here, so check them out. Their beautiful showrooms, it's extended. You won't thank me. Check them out online at GenesisDiamonds.com.
Labor Day savings at Home Depot. You can get up to $1,500 off select appliances from top brands like LG, America's most reliable line of appliances, like the LG Smart Top Load Washer with easy upload angled front, so you can reach every last sock. Right now, get up to $1,500 off select appliances in store and online with Labor Day savings at Home Depot. Home Depot's getting more done. Prices are online. Visit the world of US Macy's store online for details. America's most reliable line of appliances for everything in stock.
Make your next grill your last with a Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on fuel, eating out, and replacing expensive grills that cannot match the flavor of the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes? with temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and all offseason we've been talking about the new 12-team college football playoffs. Everybody's done their predictions. We've been taking it slow. We had one that was way, way too early. Then we had a way too early. Then just a too early. Then maybe even just an early. But now today it's all official.
I've saved all those.
Yeah, good. Well, good. I have mine on my laptop.
Somewhere in there we're going to be right on all this.
Hopefully. We can only hope. But yes, today we're going to knock out our official 12-team college football playoff predictions.
We are, so I'll start with my champions. The champions from the group of five, it's going to be the Memphis Tigers representing the AAC, but they're not going to be one of the top 4 seeds, but it could open up a great debate if indeed they are what I think they will be, and that's 13-0, 12-0 regular season and winners of the AAC championship game. I may have them too low if they meet that mark. But number 1, champions of the SEC, Georgia. I have 5 teams from the SEC. Number 2, champions from the Big Ten, Oregon. Number 3, champion from the wide open ACC, the Clemson Tigers. They got to win a bunch of games in a row after tomorrow, losing to Georgia. Number 4, champion from the Big 12, Utah. Both, whether it's Clemson or Utah, whether I'm right or wrong, both of those leagues could have a champion with 2 league losses and 1 non-conference loss, so a total of 3. If I'm right on the Tigers could conceivably, I'm not selling that, but they could be the 3 seed.
No, they definitely could.
If I'm right on my 13-0.
Yeah, and you know, if you're undefeated and you're a group of 5 team, then I mean it's a whole different discussion, and then it kind of goes into how the committee wants to rank you and how they rank those other teams. But it would definitely make for an interesting debate.
Then I have number 5, Texas, as runner-up from the SEC, loser in the SEC championship game. That would be 2 losses, but I think people will understand. 1 was in a conference championship game. Same for the Big Ten, runner-up Ohio State. They're the 6th seed. Alabama 7, and 8 seed, the Memphis Tigers.
Wow.
9 seed, Ole Miss, and you know what that means?
Whoa!
First weekend of the college football playoffs at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Whatever we got to do to expand the crowd and get as many in there as you have. 8 playing the 9. Memphis playing Ole Miss in Memphis. 10 seed LSU, 11 seed Penn State, 12 Florida State. So on campus, my games are 12 FSU. I'm staying with them even after last weekend, and they lost to Memphis, playing the 5 seed Texas. The 11 seed Penn State at 6 seed Ohio State. The 10 LSU at 7 Alabama. Bama goes there regular season. LSU has to go there postseason. The 9 Ole Miss in Memphis. The next round, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, number 1 Georgia versus number 9 Ole Miss. Ole Miss winning the game over Memphis. 2 Oregon and Alabama, with Alabama winning that game. Then Ohio State beating Clemson in the 3 versus 6, and in the 4 versus 5 Texas. National semifinals in the Cotton Bowl. Georgia over Texas. That would be how many wins? That'd be 3 wins for Georgia this year over Texas, if I'm right. 7 seed Alabama over 6 seed Ohio State. And with all these teams and all these playoffs, what has really changed? Number 1 Georgia over Alabama in the national championship game, with Kirby Smart finishing off a 16-0.
Brett, could we get rafters brought into the open area at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium and have people sit there? I don't know. We got to figure something out.
Maybe even like suspended seating.
Oh, I like that idea. Sounds a little dangerous, but I like it. It's an idea. I don't know if they passed the legal threshold. Maybe not. The
that
inspection.
May be hard hats required for that.
Honestly, it definitely would be hard hats required.
But seriously, when I did these, I think Tiger fans will rightfully let's take this big leap, and I'm 100% right.
Yeah,
on the Tigers 12-0 and winning the AAC championship game. I think people would have a beef with You mean we're just 8?
Sure.
We're just the 8
yeah.
seed?
Yeah, I mean, if you're 13-0, for sure.
Because that 0 should matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last year's 0 for Liberty didn't matter.
Right.
And I think that's going to hurt
Sure.
G5 going forward.
Definitely, because, I mean,
Because that's in people's mind of that woeful performance against Oregon. I don't know if any of that's fair, but if you got ACC champ really scratched up with 2 or 3 or say 4, there's no way 0 doesn't trump 4.
No, not at all. I mean, but you're right. It's going to be that
object's winning, isn't it?
Exactly, but it's going to be that great debate. If let's just say you're right and they're 13-0, the debate's going to be okay. You've got this undefeated team that has won all the games set in front of them, but also that stigma is going to be set for Group of 5 teams of last year Liberty was undefeated and they went out there against Oregon and got hammered. So it would be a really, really interesting, fun debate.
If the Tigers lose at FSU, and that's the only loss, and they finish 11-1 regular, win the AAC championship game, I don't think they're 12 seed then.
Yeah.
Even with other conference champions losing.
For sure, yeah. So I mean, it's gonna be a lot of fun, kind of keeping up with the entire season. And, if we are right about Memphis being that Group of 5 representative, for my 12-team college football playoff, I went back and I was looking at my last one. I kind of had the framework of what I wanted to do, and once I started getting towards the end, I kind of cross-referenced our last one. And my list is very similar. Now, when we get to the actual games, that's where it gets pretty different. So starting with the champions, number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs winning the SEC. Number 2, Ohio State winning the Big Ten. 3, Utah winning the Big 12. And then number 4, I'm still going to go with them. I know they're already behind the 8 ball, 0-1 in conference play, but I'll go with Florida State out of the ACC.
And you think FSU beats the Tigers?
Correct. And so I think they bounce back from that loss.
Your 4 now has more plausibility than my FSU 12.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm staying with it because I let it go last week in a public 4.
Why not? But, yeah, so I have Florida State bouncing back and claiming that 4 spot for the college football playoffs. Because remember, I mean, Florida State could lose 2-3 games in conference, but if we get chaos in the ACC, they make it to the conference championship and they win, they'll have a spot in the playoffs no matter where they're at because they've won the conference championship. So I have them at number 4. Number 5, I've got Texas. I think they're going to be the runner-up in the SEC, so I have them right outside at number 5. 6, I have Oregon out of the Big Ten. Then we
flip-flopped on Big Ten reps.
Exactly. I've got 7, Ole Miss, 8, Alabama, 9, Penn State, 10, Missouri, 11, Miami, and number 12, the Memphis Tigers. So,
so your 5 is Texas.
Yep.
So that would be the Tigers going to Austin.
Mm-hmm. That might just be a dream for me. I don't know. That might be more than that.
I don't think it's dream. I don't. I know
it might be my dream of I want to go see that game in person.
I think that would be the largest attended if you can get tickets for any out-of-town game.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some Ole Miss games would challenge that. But you would have the Tigers as 10-2 regular season, champions of the AAC, and the 12 seed.
Yeah, and so you're going to need, kind of what we've talked about. Memphis fans do not cheer for other Group of 5 teams. You want those teams nicked up.
Champion of the little guy days are over.
Oh, absolutely.
It's dog eat. You know what dog?
Yeah. So I think no matter if you're more in my camp or you're in your camp, whether it's undefeated or you have Memphis losing a couple games, you're not cheering for any other Group of 5 teams because you want Memphis to be up there at number 1. You don't want a debate between different teams.
Now, a Tiger team that loses to FSU, loses twice in the AAC, finishes regular season 9-3, and wins the AAC championship game, I don't think can get in.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think – and, I said this earlier when we did our picks. I think I said it earlier this week as well. I think, one loss in conference is all you can really do if you're Memphis and you want to be in that 12-team college football playoff. But I have them making it. I have them as my 12 seed. So this is how it sets up with matchups. Memphis at Texas. I have Texas winning that game. Miami at Oregon in the 11-6. Oregon wins that game. Missouri at Ole Miss in the 10-7. Ole Miss gets that win. And then Penn State at Alabama in the 9-8. Alabama wins it there. We move on. Texas against Florida State. Texas pulls the upset as the 5 seed, beating the 4 seed. They advance to the semifinals. Oregon, the 6th seed, they also pull the upset over Utah in the 6-3 matchup. They get a win. 7 Ole Miss versus 2 Ohio State. I have Ohio State defeating Ole Miss. And then
Quinshawn versus Ole Miss.
Oh, that would be insane. That would be a great matchup. And then finally, 8 Alabama taking on number 1 Georgia. I have Alabama pulling the upset. Kirby Smart might think things have changed with Nick Saban not on that sideline, but they ultimately lose when it matters. Alabama advances. So that means in my college football playoff semifinals, I have the 5th seed, the 8th seed, the 6th seed, and the number 2 seed all in that semifinal. So I'm playing for absolute chaos. I have number 5 Texas versus number 8 Alabama. I have Texas winning that game. Number 6 Oregon versus number 2 Ohio State. I have Ohio State winning that game to set up a championship game of Texas versus Ohio State, with the Longhorns taking claim, saying the SEC is ours. They win the national championship. Hook 'em, Texas is back.
SEC would be UT's, the other UT, and the whole college football world
how about that?
Would be the Texas Longhorns. And with all these changes, you got Texas beating Ohio State, and I got Georgia beating Bama.
How about that? Yes, at the very end of the day, it's going to be those elite programs there at the end.
And you can expand it. I think FCS has now been expanded out to 24 teams with first-round buys even. Maybe even do they have a second-round bye?
I just know it's a first round. Maybe there's a
I don't
second
have
round,
a 24-team bracket down to memory. I'm sorry. But what I'm getting to is we can expand the college football playoff out to 92 teams.
Yeah.
And you can give me one of about a dozen teams for the next 40 years, and that's going to be where your winner comes from.
Oh, no, you're absolutely
Rivers,
right.
except for the Nile, run north to south.
I like that. Yes, they do. And I think
or is it the Amazon? Which one runs north to south to
one
north?
of them does. I don't know.
I think I went full Blutarski there.
Well, that's okay. But no, and I think even FCS still having conversations of expanding it more. And so I think, we always talk about conference realignment's never dead. Feels like the college football playoff expansion is also never going to be dead.
I'll say the same about basketball.
idea.
We can expand the basketball tournament to 900 teams. Give me about 13 or 14 from that, and the same ones will win it all the time. I mean, you're just not changing that much history in record books. You're just not. You can give more people fun.
Sure.
And, hey, we went to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be some this year. Hey, we went to playoffs. Yeah, how'd that work out? Well, we got beat 48-3.
Oh, how fun was that? Yeah.
How much fun was that?
Yeah.
And then you do that 3 out of the next 6 years, and I kind of miss going off to that old fuddy-duddy bowl game again.
Having trophies in the hallways.
But we're here. No matter what new Chevy or pre-owned car you're looking for, our friends at All-Star, they have it on the lot or in the showroom right now in Olive Branch. First exit into Mississippi on Highway 78. Take Kraft Goodman Road, and you're at All-Star where the end of summer sale is going on. Let's drive what we really want to drive, and let's start that drive at All-Star. Pick out 2 or 3 to test drive, and you will be happy to do so. I'm looking at 20 or 30 new Silverados on the lot every time I go down there. They're marked down as much as 12%. That saves you $1,000 every Tahoe you could want for all these road trips and tailgating. Law enforcement, first responders, healthcare workers, military, college students, college grads, all an instant extra $500 bonus back. This is the best week to get the most money on any vehicle you want to sell. Bring it to All-Star, whether you bought it there or not, and you'll get a big check today or tomorrow, this weekend, all by the end of August sale. Don't miss All-Star Chevy's end of summer sale going on right now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, we need to get to another break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Sunrise Super Summer Sale at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. Get up to $11,000 off MSRP with royalty on our new loaded 24 Sierra 1500. Or choose new GMC Sierra 2500 heavy duty at $7,000 off MSRP. Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. We are professional brands.
Does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer dock fee of $899.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Light duty RG $245,378 in transit. MSRP $90,475. Dealer discount $57.50. Factory rebate $27.50. Loyalty $2,500. Must own 2010 or newer Buick or GMC vehicle. Heavy duty RF $381,279 in transit. MSRP $97,330. Dealer discount $7,000. Expires 9/3/24.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Five Ash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Hungry for that delicious smash burger flavor? Dyer's Cafe is the original smash burger since 1912 and still smashing burgers in Collier's historic town square. Come out for their lunch specials Monday through Friday 11 to 2. Ask about their world-famous split dog and authentic Chicago or New York dog. Try the leaner side of Dyer's with a grilled chicken sandwich or freshly made salad. Also serving Lakes Delta-raised catfish, Pasquale's tamales, and a customer favorite hand-breaded onion rings. Dyer's, serving world-famous burgers, dogs, and shakes in Collier's historic town square.
Listen up, I got Marty McNate on the line at Gossett Volkswagen, Germantown. Marty, you might be too busy moving back prices over there. What's up?
Going way back, Randy. Doc's orders. I've got 2024 Teos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport. Got to go back in time to get the good old days at $275 a month.
Great Scott, McNate. Plus, I hear the 2024 Atlas Peak editions are going for $5,000 off MSRP or $1.9 for 60 months.
That's right, Randy. During the Volkswagen Savvy Summer Sales event, your future is whatever you make of it. So go to Gossett Volkswagen Germantown at 7420 Winchester Road or shop online at GossettVWG.com.
Ask for Marty to find out how much he can move you back on price. That's Gossett Volkswagen 7420 Winchester Road.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, a couple different places I could go for big number today, but I will get a big number from college football and talk about a game and a player that we have not mentioned. I've not mentioned all day on any show today or to anybody, off air, on air, anything, and I want to talk about him. So my big number today is 164. 164. That's how
we're really close on big number.
Oh wow! I don't think we're gonna have anything close in terms of
I'm
what it's
130.
about. Oh, wow.
Okay.
So very close. 164 is my big number. It is how many passing yards KJ Jefferson had last night in his UCF debut against New Hampshire. 164 yards, 50% completion, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, added 39 yards in the ground. But yes, Brett, he looked really, really
team
bad.
guy ever.
Yes, and all of that offseason of this is the guy. He's really gonna push UCF and get them there. He's Cam Newton. Looked the exact opposite of Cam Newton last night against New
he's
Hampshire.
with the perfect one.
Well,
him and Gus.
he sure is, and Gus thought he had Cam Newton
Boy,
again.
made for each other.
Man, they sure are. But yeah, did not look good at all. I think I saw when I flipped it on, he was like 1 for 7 to start the game, throwing the ball. So, yeah, not a good start for him in this UCF team. They did get a big win over New Hampshire, but he did not look
unlike
good.
the Colorado guys, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, I think the other wide receiver, I think Shiloh Sanders, there are a couple other pieces. They're going to the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
KJ, unless you're buying a ticket, you're not getting near the NFL.
This last dance for you.
It sure is.
Yeah.
You ready for mine?
Yeah, that's all I had.
130.
Okay.
Ole Miss starting its 130th year of football, and it is the most anticipated season ever. Yeah, Coach Vaught teams back in the past, including number 18 senior season, they were very anticipated but didn't have a playoff. That's what makes this one even more anticipated because you can get in the playoffs and maybe make some noise. Also, Saturday will be Lane Kiffin's 50th game at Ole Miss tomorrow against Furman. If he wins, he will be 35-15. Speaking of Coach John Vaught, after 50 games at Ole Miss, the most legendary coach in Ole Miss history was 32-16-2.
Wow.
So he's already better.
Yeah.
If he loses tomorrow, he's better after 50.
It's almost
If
hard.
he loses tomorrow, a lot of things are going to change,
Well, yes,
including all this anticipation.
There's going to be bigger issues than what
Yeah.
his overall record is, but it is hard to believe that tomorrow's game 50 for him.
Game 50, and
it's gone by
I don't
fast.
think anybody had him here past 12 games, did they?
No, I mean, heck, Brad, every offseason he's leaving. It's
And
he's never gonna
now
stay.
the stories are out there that he wants to, and with his ex-wife, they're all very agreeable. They're very good friends. In fact, she comes to a lot of games here, to see her daughter here in town, to be with her children. That Knox will try to move here and play high school football here in Oxford.
Yeah, I heard Evie Van Pelt was on with John yesterday, and she was talking about that, and I had not heard that. But yeah, it sounds like a pretty good quarterback, and has been kind of going around to these
And
camps
Knox has
and
hit
stuff.
the growth spurt. I saw him
really?
earlier today. I said, "What have you been eating?"
Is that
he
age?
has hit the growth spurt.
Is that age
went
you
from
just shoot up?
Yeah, he went from youngster to
Sure.
all grown up in size.
Wow, how about that? So no, it definitely feels like he likes where he's at, and certainly already has his daughter down there at Ole Miss, and now it sounds like Knox will be there with him. So it definitely feels like you like where things are right now with him and Ole Miss football.
I know all the open jobs, including Florida, and all the speculation. I know it eats him up, but I think he's at Ole Miss for a while.
Wow, yeah. And I think, big year this year, and I mean, sky's the
Entering
limit.
year 5.
Yeah.
Who had that?
No, nobody. I don't think, the biggest Ole Miss fan had that on day one.
But both for the Tigers and for Ole Miss to keep this upward trajectory in football, and it feels like the Tigers have it going their way on NIL with compliments of the Smith family and FedEx.
Yep.
And for Lane, as long as in the Grove Collective, he can look at that account and see the money there for him to compete for players. I think he's plenty content.
Sure, absolutely. And so when you have that, you definitely feel good about your chance, especially in the SEC with all of the money
Approaching
around
50,
there.
why go start over somewhere
yeah.
that you don't know that might work out because the landscape's really changed.
I'm glad
You can live and make it work in Oxford.
No, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up NIL because I saw this quote I guess 2 nights ago, and I wanted to bring it up, forgot to bring it up yesterday. Connor and I were talking about it when I first saw it. But in terms of Memphis, UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor was talking to the media earlier this week, or it might have been on his coach show. I don't know exactly where this quote came from, but one of the beat writers put it out. Jeff Traylor on NIL, quote, "We're getting our teeth kicked in by Memphis and South Florida." So, I mean...
cry me a river.
Exactly. We knew Memphis was up there, but now other coaches wanting to let...
Right, when I saw that quote, I swear I thought, well, too bad,
exactly,
Coach, because it's almost that same sentiment about Ole Miss. Well, if Ole Miss is doing it, we can. Well, go do it.
Go do it then. Yes, exactly. It kind of goes back to that, we were talking about...
like both places, well, even more so Ole Miss, because Fred Smith and FedEx very public, but like there's a secret alcove of cash
yes.
that only Ole Miss can.
No, not at all.
It's been a lot of hard work for Walker Jones.
Exactly. And, it almost kind of goes back to, what we were talking about around media days, where some of these coaches were coming out and addressing the media and almost felt like they were like scared to talk about NIL. And we were going, no, you should be very proud of NIL. Everyone can do it. This is not something that to hide or anything. It's
legal.
Exactly. Just, go do it. And so.
And guess what? The rates are going up. The quarterback from 2 years ago is going to be much more expensive 2 years from now.
100%. It's the changing world of college football.
I've also heard people pick at the sustainability. Well, first of all these cards are new being dealt. Now, the big boys, Ohio State, Alabama, those types, okay. But for all of us, everybody's wondering if we can make it to next year and do it again.
Yeah.
And the whole sustainability thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much unknown out there. And, I think you just kind of try to learn more day by day. But we do need to wrap up our second hour and get to another break. And when we come back, Arkansas, they rolled to their first win of the season last night in Little Rock over Pine Bluff. Ty Richardson, he's from ESPN Arkansas. He's going to join us in our next segment to talk about those Hogs, what they did last night, and we'll get to some other SEC teams with him. But we're talking Hogs with Ty next on Sports Time.
Cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low slim seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors for this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to DeSoto Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with premium style and performance to enjoy every second. Use the street as a racetrack with the law of the
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
The Mitsubishi Final Days of Summer sales event is going strong at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. So come get bang for your buck with 420 total range and 64 combined MPGE in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. We Gossett 34,770 or $299.98 a month. And check out 2024 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. We Gossett at $27,245 or $349 a month. Plus, you'll never go wrong with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today at 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com. That's Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
draft due 97, MSRP 47,470, 36-month, 30,000-mile lease, 44.53 due at signing, 1,095 acquisition fee, 25 cents per mile excess wear and tear. Eclipse RZO 65,450, MSRP 28,745, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds, luxury cream Rolexes, and popular importance extended.
Drive like a pro and support a great cause during the sales drive at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, and Landers Ford North in Covington. We've provided over 100 new Fords to be driven by the pros at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Now they're all being sold with demo prices. That's right, over 100 new Fords driven by the pros are being sold with demo pricing below market value. A portion of the proceeds go directly to the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. This is a once-a-year opportunity to trade up and drive like a pro while supporting a great cause. Visit LandersMemphis.com. That's LandersMemphis.com. Or come see us at Landers Ford in Collierville, Landers Ford South in South Haven, or Landers Ford North in Covington. With our Landers Easy Pass, you can get top dollar for your trade-in to help you save even more. Don't miss your chance. Reserve your demo price new Ford driven by a pro at the FedEx St. Jude Championship and lock in low APR financing. Remember, if it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Just filling out paperwork on that earlier crash we had on 40 eastbound out here between Abilene and Germantown Parkway. It's already heavy out on this side of town as it is. You got all that heavy traffic 40 east continuing on out towards Fayette County. It's picked up with more volume. 240 east here at Mount Moriah. Some of this traffic getting on to Bill Morris Parkway going outbound. Lots of radar down I-40 as you head through Arkansas. You're going to see a lot of radar this weekend. Please be careful. Slow it down. Make sure you got that seatbelt buckled on. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Time to talk Razorbacks on Sportstime. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant and Brett.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Ty Richardson joins us now from ESPN Arkansas to talk the Razorbacks and talk a little SEC. Arkansas already 1-0 this season after a convincing win over Pine Bluff last night in Little Rock. Ty, what did you think of that game last night? Any takeaways from the performance from the Hogs?
Guys, anytime you score 10 touchdowns on 10 possessions, you got to be happy, even if it was a much lesser opponent. First time in 20-some-odd years that a FBS team, I think, has done that. First time since 2014, Arkansas scored more than 70 points. So it was, again, much inferior opponent. Cool that the money's staying in state, going to Arkansas Pine Bluff. But the real test begins in Stillwater, Oklahoma next week against Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Yeah, that's where the season begins. And I know a lot of people will be watching what Oklahoma State, what they do this week. I think they're on upset alert against another one of the Dakotas, South Dakota State. A lot of Dakotas out there. Who knew, Ty? But you mentioned the money staying in state after the performances against UAPB and both games having to be on the fly changed to 12-minute quarters. Should they really still be playing after yet another dreadful performance?
You know, Stats, we've talked about that. I think we talked about that at Media Days in Dallas because it's such a it's hard because every college program wants to schedule that cupcake team. So, yes, at least you're keeping the money in state, but, like, it wasn't even football for the majority of that game. I mean, Arkansas outmatched them at every single position, every single coach, the money difference. And I wonder, like, at some point the SEC, probably starting in 2026, if the money's right with the ESPN and ABC, they'll move to 9 conference games. And then what happens? Do you still have an FCS opponent, or do we see actually 3 group of 5 opponents, I should say, and no FCS? That is going to be a discussion to be had, I think, with the Southeastern Conference and how they go about scheduling 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, I said earlier, and this isn't Arkansas making the call. This is the SEC making the call. I think it's shameful we play those FCS opponents and charge full tilt for people's hard-earned money as much as all this costs. And my scheduling proposal, and it will never be adopted, I know this, but I want 9 league games, and then I want a 10th game that you play somebody from the SEC that doesn't count against that league total.
Wow.
That's 10 games, and then your other 2 games, the power 4 now, and then like for in Ole Miss case, play somebody in the neighborhood, play Memphis, play Southern Miss, play Tulane, play Arkansas State. I think Arkansas State would suffice for the Razorbacks. For the Razorbacks, maybe start back up. One time it was a good thing they had with Tulsa. That was often opening day a lot of years for me. I think across the SEC, it's disgraceful to play FCS opponent.
So, Stats, Brian, let me run this by you because my co-host Tommy's kicked this idea around. You've seen in basketball, you see these conference tie-ins, like it was the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Now it's the SEC ACC Challenge, or the ACC SEC Challenge. Could you not do something like the previous year? The Ohio State's probably going to come out of the Big Ten this year, right? It's number 1. Let's say that Georgia is also number 1. How about they just neutral site next year? Now you pick the neutral site venue, but you have the 1s versus the 1s, 2s versus the 2s, and you just go down the list. Now I know the Big Ten has 18 and the SEC has 16, but that just makes sense to me to have something like that. You'd have to figure out the either home and home or neutral site aspect. But to your point, that would give another added value game to these fans that spend so much money on tickets, donations, parking. You name it, they spend it, and it's not like ticket prices or donations are going any time down soon. They're going to continue to rise, unfortunately, in college athletics with the way salaries, NIL, and everything else is headed.
Well, you know the immense respect and regard I have for your co-host, Tommy Kraft, and the great show that y'all have, and he has crushed it with this idea. I'm all for that. Now, where I would deviate is I don't want anything to do with neutral. Let's give these people some bang for their buck for buying these seats and making that donation. And I don't know how it happened in the donation world, but the correspondence, the re-upping always comes sometimes right after the season has just ended, and that hits a little hard sometimes when you've just gotten splattered in a bowl game or didn't go to one. They don't win the timing award sometime with that going out. It's time to re-up. So I would love an SEC Big Ten challenge, and it falls where it falls. If you're the 4, then you play the 4, and they get together and figure out, from one year to the next. So I guess I guess we would kind of reverse it, but I would love a challenge like that to give people, the fans, some bang for their buck, and then what that would do with your TV partners.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. And I think you're spot on about the neutral site. Give me the home and home. Figure out if you'll go every other. Just, hey, if 1 year's to the Big Ten, 1 year is to the SEC, and so on. But I think about, for example, you're talking about the neutral site stuff. Arkansas's basketball schedule is loaded in non-conference, but they're all neutral site games. They're going to Madison Square Garden for the Michigan game. They're going to Miami for the ACC-SEC game. They're going to Dallas for the reported Baylor game. They really don't have a bona fide home schedule.
Let me introduce you to John Calipari.
Yeah, and I think that's the one, and I said this week. I was like, I think, guys, this is the one gripe you're going to have come basketball season. It's like the only great home game is Alabama and Texas. Those are the only two, like, I've got to be here in Bud Walton Arena. They go to Rupp for the Kentucky game. They go to Tennessee. They go to Auburn. So some of the perceived top 5 or 6 SEC teams are all on the road. You only get 2 of them at home, plus the other marquee games are neutral site. I think there's some gripe for not just Arkansas fans, but other fans in college basketball. You don't get these marquee games at home, which I'm always for, like you are, Brett.
So true, and you're going to get a lot with John. You're going to get a lot of in November and December at Bud Walton Arena. You're going to get a lot of Gardner-Webb and a lot of Missouri State and a lot of College of Charleston or Charleston Southern. You're going to get a lot of those games, and that's at the AD level. I know every college basketball coach is mostly responsible for their schedule. Well, that's when the AD steps in and goes, yeah, I know you're more popular than I am. I know you make more than I am, but I am your boss, and we're going to play some of these games here where our fans can see them.
Yeah, it just makes sense, and that's a difficult situation as Hunter Yurchek is the athletics director when you're clearly the not more popular. No, I mean, Hunter's been here a few years now, and more people already know Cal's name than they do the athletics director. I've always found that part of, and football coach, more times than not, it's the football coach that's the more popular. Like, I would be shocked we're talking in Tennessee right now, I would be shocked if more people, more known guy, the Tennessee head coach relative to the Tennessee athletics director is just how it goes. And that is I think, a difficult position. Some people don't understand when it comes to just directing traffic on college campuses sometimes.
Yeah, and if you think it's bad now, you let John Calipari go to even the Sweet 16 or more next year, and then he'll get the Mitch Barnhart, Hunter will get the Mitch Barnhart treatment at Kentucky to have an appointment with your basketball coach. Hunter Yurchek will have to call Chris Woolard and make the appointment.
Yeah, that's something I hope we don't get. I just, and I know we're talking on Memphis radio right now, and I know there's a lot of ill will towards John Calipari, and I completely understand that based on what happened 15 plus years ago. But I wonder if he is found new life, because that's what we keep hearing, Brian and Stats, is this guy's going to re-energize and re-find himself in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I've seen, again, marketing campaigns before. That's the one they're riding it on. Now, some work. We'll see if Cal in Fayetteville works in the final 5 to 10 years of his college career, if it ends up going that long. Yeah.
Well, going back to last night, Ty, I mean, I know how much can you really take away from what we saw yesterday, but you look at Taylon Green and what he brought, not only with his arm, but with his legs. I think the excitement, at least that I was seeing on social media from Razorback fans after seeing him in an official game in a Razorback uniform, that hype is now there for what he can do this season at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I think when you think about a guy that can run and throw, that's athletic, I mean, every Arkansas fans remember Matt Jones. A lot of Memphis fans will remember Matt Jones just because he was a kid in the SEC that was fun to watch, 6'6", 6'7". One of our team members at ESPN Arkansas can throw it a country mile, ran like a sub 4.4, played a little NFL wide receiver. I don't know if Memphis, I don't know if Paxton Lynch is the right equivalent. Paxton's, I think, has a better arm than Taylon does, but just one of those athletes, right? You look at him on the field, and just like, man, that guy looks like a football player, and Taylon has the backing from the leadership that he's earned thus far since stepping on campus, and hopefully that'll be enough to keep him in some games this fall, because they're outmatched talent-wise. It's just a matter of do they believe in this kid, and at least last night they did, Brian.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did, and he certainly looked the part. But now you get a little bit of a longer week before next weekend's game. Brett already mentioned it, a big one against Oklahoma State. What did you see from that game that you want to see against Oklahoma State? What needs to change? What are you seeing in terms of next weekend's matchup?
Well, Brian, I think it's what I didn't see, right?
Yeah.
Bobby Petrino, it's like he still got some stuff that he stored away for this game in Stillwater next week. Brett, you opened up the show talking about the Dakotas. One Dakota almost beat Dion last night. We'll see if another Dakota can almost beat Gundy in Stillwater tomorrow. I mean, that's that's a single-digit spread if I remember correctly. So it's going to be Arkansas didn't get tested a lick in their first game. We'll see if Oklahoma State does and who benefits from that. Razorbacks didn't really play in their starters in the second half. I'm going to guess Oklahoma State's in a game till probably late third quarter tomorrow, maybe longer than that. So I'm curious to see what kind of impact that has on next week. I think it's, again, Brian, to where I started, to your question, it's like what was not shown? What did Travis Williams not show on defense? What did Bobby Petrino not show on offense? And what do you have in store for a team that I think returns either 19 or 20 of their starters next week? That is not an easy place to play. I know what happened against South Alabama last year, but Gundy hates the SEC still for what happened in 2011, and he's going to do everything in his power to make Arkansas an example, whether fair or not, next week in Boone Pickett Stadium.
Ty, where did most of the staff at ESPN Arkansas, where did they fall out on Razorback season win totals, and what was maybe some of the more aspirational from fans? Nobody had a 12-0. That would really be aspirational, did they?
No one reached the not the abyss. Whatever the opposite of the abyss is, Brett. I think the highest I heard on our airwaves was 9-3 from a fan. From on air is probably 7-5. I think everyone and I get preached this daily by other radio hosts to me. It's like last year because of they have 39 new players on this roster, and last year didn't work. It didn't sync for whatever reason. You can blame this, you can blame that, but for whatever reason, the pieces didn't mesh. This team, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're more talented because they might not be. But, sometimes you have a team that you watch that, for whatever reason, it's not that their talent overwhelms another squad, but they're just better chemistry-wise. They're hoping this Arkansas team is that this upcoming season. So I think from a fan standpoint, 9 was the highest, and from the host standpoint stats, it was about 7.
Yeah. Ty, this morning, did any listeners call or text in about what KJ Jefferson did last night in his debut for UCF?
Yeah, his name got brought up on the text line and the hotline. I think he started 1
Good.
for 8.
I hope he got blasted.
Yeah,
he didn't look good.
Yeah, and I know Gus at one point on a fourth down, I think ran him out of the shotgun, which still didn't make sense to me. Someone with a better football mind's got to explain that. But yeah, I think. My thing with KJ was the only quarterback in the last 10-plus years to beat Texas A&M. KJ was part of that 9-win season, which was the best since 2015, and actually, frankly, the best since 2011. They should have gotten 10 wins. That game in Oxford, a stats you know all about, that was a thriller. It was one of the best games.
Sure
that was the best game of the year, actually, ranked by ESPN. So I don't know. I'm not gonna be openly critical of KJ Jefferson because I know it didn't go his way last year, and there were some things that said about him, some unfair, some fair. But yes, there were definitely some texts that were brought up this morning about his struggles for the UCF Golden Knights last night, Brian.
Ty, I am going to be critical, and that is a change from me from the past, how college football and college sports has changed. I know used to, it'd take a pretty low-life guy to get on a guy that's just getting room, books, tuition, etc. They got more than that, but I'll go along with that. And I don't ever remember a single time with anything even as heated as I've said or hot as I've said today about KJ Jefferson. But that's all changed. They want both side of it. They want to be treated very, very, very adult, very business oriented, very me, and then come criticism time. How dare you talk to a college player like that? No way, not going to do it. You want to be treated like an adult, I'm going to treat you like one.
In stats, honestly, I think you're right. Now, you got a lot more cachet, a lot more time in this business, and I think people respect a lot more what you have to say at times than what they do me. But you're right. You're 100% right. I think it's difficult because Stats, you've done radio for what, 30-some-odd years, if I remember right, and it's such a change. It's such a dynamic change from where we were to where we are now. And like you said, I my dad had that same thing when I turned 18, when I wanted more freedoms, and then there was more responsibilities thrust upon
Goes
me.
with it.
And he's like, well, you can't have it both ways. And I remember that stuck with me all these years later. And it's the same equivalent in college sports paying players. Now, I still think, again, I don't know about you, from 18 to 22 years old, I was the dumbest I've ever been in my entire life. So there's still that element that I kind of, yeah. So there's still that element that I kind of keep in the back of my head, but they are not like, they can't be, unwarranted from criticism. Like that comes along with the territory. Now, when you just go on a tirade, I think there's difference, but there is, you're exactly right, Stats. I think it's not open season per se, but it's definitely way more open than it was 3 or 4 years ago, I guess July 2021, when the NIL kind of was enacted July 1st.
Absolutely. Well, Ty, a win's a win at the end of the day. Arkansas already 1-0. It's fun to watch. It's going to be fun watching the rest of the SEC this weekend. As always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Friday.
Guys, thanks for having me. I'm in actually SEC country right now, Sallisaw, Oklahoma. It's weird saying that, but with Sooners now in the league, it's different.
That's right.
I think we lost.
That's right. I think we lost Ty. You're right. It is different now saying it. Sallisaw is SEC country, but it is. And for the Razorback fans, and we said it with Ty, 1-0. Never apologize for being 1-0. No matter what.
No. If you get a win, a win's a win no matter what, and they got the win last night and improved 1-0, so good for them.
This weekend and into all this football watching, I've got some great locations for you, and that's Jason's Deli. You know where they are. There's one very close to wherever you are in our area, over across from MUS. If you want to tailgate over at MUS tonight, get that party tray and just go across the street with it on Ridgeway Road at Poplar and Highland by the University of Memphis, getting ready for tomorrow on Tiger Lane, or down here in Oxford. For all these locations, Olive Branch, Cordova, there's one close to you, and to start the weekend and start it in a great way. No order too large, 5 or 5,000. They've got you covered. Plenty of organic food to choose from. And in all those locations, that salad bar, over 30 items to choose from. A lot of great options at Jason's Deli and that salad bar in every location for you to prepare it however you would like. For the catering, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, they've got you covered. And it's all about choice. Regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, you'll be delighted at Jason's Deli in those great locations at Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. The complimentary free ice cream. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, it's been a fun and busy Friday so far, but now we're getting to the time that I know we're all looking forward to. It's been a while since we've made some picks, so we need to get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for the first time this season, our first National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa Mitsubishi Final Days of Summer Sales event is going strong at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. So come get bang for your buck with 420 total range and 64 combined MPGE in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. We Gossett 34,770 or $299.98 a month. And check out 2024 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. We Gossett at $27,245 or $349 a month. Plus, you'll never go wrong with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today at 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com. That's Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
RZO 35,297, MSRP 47,470, 36-month, 30,000-mile lease, 44.53 due at signing, 1,095 acquisition fee, 25 cents per mile excess wear and tear. Eclipse RZO 65,450, MSRP 28,745, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
For life's spectacular moments, only a real diamond will do. At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll discover a brilliant selection of natural diamonds, along with our promise of unmatched quality and service. The only real diamond is a natural diamond from Sissy's. Find yours when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Discover the natural diamond of your dreams only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Memphis, it's official. Crab King Seafood is where it's at. For the most flavored seafood and the biggest plates, run to a Crab King's near you. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. The price, the portions, the service is why Crab King's is number 1. So don't be disappointed in seafood. Make the right choice the first time and every time. Make it Crab Kings. Crab Kings have only locally grown catfish. Come and devour tasty snow crabs, king crab, shrimp, salmon, catfish, calamari, and so much more. Enjoy Memphis's best tasting pasta with your choice of toppings. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. Crab Kings is open Wednesday through Sunday. Enjoy 50% off lunch portions and dollar fountain drinks. The number 1 name in Cajun seafood is Crab King Seafood, a Memphis favorite. Crab King, 7140 Stage Road. Kings with the Z.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at brianellerroofing.com. Hey, Jason, the main man, Marshall, it's the Volkswagen Sandy Summer Sales Event at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. And buddy, I need to scoop.
Randy, don't pass this one by, my man. Take your pick, 2024 Taos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport, just $275 a month. And 2024 Atlas Peak Edition, $5,000 off or 0.9% APR for 60 months. And remember, at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike, no reasonable offer will be refused.
Remember, it's your choice. 2024 Taos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport, $275 a month. And 2024 Atlas Peak Edition's $5,000 off or 0.9% APR for 60 months. So ask for Jason, the main man, Marshall at Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, or online at GossettBWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Good afternoon. It's busy right now on all the major outbound routes. It's really loading up over here again on 40 East from Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. I know we had that wreck out there earlier that's since been cleared. It's pretty crowded at times. 240 East at Poplar, some of that traffic coming off 240 onto 385. It's busy, but hey, it's moving. Weiber's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life. Bryce, you know, when I asked you yesterday, and I asked the listeners to tell us when they feel like college football season is really hitting, this is the moment that it's hitting for me. When we do Friday football forecast brought to you by our friends at First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. So many thanks to them for being with us through football seasons, through SEC Media Days, through the golf tournament, through everything that they've been so good to me and to us for, and we're ready to pick the games. First game, bright and early tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock at the Georgia, not at the Georgia Dome, at the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta on ABC. Georgia, 13.5-point favorite over Clemson. They first met in 1897. They last met in 2021 in Charlotte. Georgia, they're 9-3 in ranked matchups to start a season, and that's with 4 straight wins. Carson Beck, 5-1 versus ranked opponents last year. Kirby Smart, 2 national titles. Dabo Swinney, 2 national titles. A Clemson win would mark only the 6th time in AP history that the preseason number 1 lost. The last time, 1990, when the U were upset by BYU with Ty Detmer on his way to the Heisman Trophy. Georgia laying 13.5. Connor, you pick first.
I have Georgia minus 13.5.
All right.
Darian has Georgia minus 13.5. I have Georgia minus 13.5. Are we going to start the year with a group lock, Brian?
This is not how we can start 2024, but we are. I'm also going to take the Bulldogs minus the 13.5. Honestly, at this point, you see Clemson and what they've done as a program, and it feels like as a program as a whole, they're moving in the wrong direction. Georgia, they're to the point now where you've got to prove it, that you can beat them. This team has thrived under Kirby Smart. We've seen what they do year in, year out. So I'll take the Bulldogs in this one.
Group lock all the way across. Also at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on ESPN, Virginia Tech minus 13.5 at Vandy on campus in Nashville. Clark Lee, one of 8 FBS coaches to be head coach at his alma mater. Jeff Brom at U of L, Mario Cristobal at the U, Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, Deshaun Foster at UCLA, Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, Brent Key at Georgia Tech, and, of course, Kirby Smart at Georgia, the other coaches to be coaching at their alma mater in FBS. 51 new players for Vandy. First Power 5 opener for Vandy since 2010. Virginia Tech leads 6-3 all-time against Vandy. Vandy and White Station alum Chris Marv, the defensive coordinator for Virginia Tech. Give me the Hokies, the Gobblers by any name. Give me Virginia Tech over Vandy. Brian.
I like that one. I anchor down with the best of them. I like Vanderbilt. I like watching their games. But in this matchup, I really like what Virginia Tech has coming in this year. I think, we kind of talked about them as maybe a team that hasn't been talked about enough in this ACC that now seems like it's a little more wide open than we thought it was. I'll take Virginia Tech. I'll take them minus that 13.5. I know it's a road game, but if people are right about this team having something with Virginia Tech, it's going to start with a big win tomorrow.
Darian takes Virginia Tech. Connor, are we going to start the year with 2 straight group locks?
I have Virginia Tech minus 13.5.
Look at what we're doing. Not good at all. 2:30 on ABC tomorrow. The U with Mario Cristobal at the Swamp. Somebody will claim their back and maybe properly claim their back. Florida with the NCAA best 33-game win streak in home openers. The last time they lost the home opener, 1989 to Ole Miss, when Ole Miss pulled the upset in the Swamp. 71-6 all-time in Gainesville openers for the Gators. Florida, the underdog at home in an opener for just the second time since 1970. They beat Utah the last time they were underdog in 2022. Connor, you start us off.
I have Florida plus 2.5.
Bryant, you next.
I'm going to take the Gators, and I'm going to take them to win the game outright. If you listen to anybody talking about this Florida team over the summer, it has not been, there's some question marks here, there's some question marks there, this team might not be as good as people say. It's been, you look at that schedule, and it's an impossible schedule. So I think the talent is there. Miami, I know they're a preseason top 25, but I have my doubts. I have my questions about them with Mario Cristobal. So I'll take Florida at home, and I'll take them to win the game straight up.
No group lock because Darian takes the U, but I take the Gators also straight up, and you made a great case for it. 6:30 on ABC tomorrow night. That's where game day will be starting tomorrow morning. Texas A&M with their new head coach. They're 3.5 over Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. Texas A&M and Notre Dame have played 3 times before. It's 2-1 all time in those meetings. I'm sorry, they're 3-2. Notre Dame leads 3-2 all time. A couple of Cotton Bowl matchups in there. 6:30 on ABC. A&M 34-2 at Kyle Field since joining the SEC versus non-conference foes. Kyle Field built in 1905. This will be the first Notre Dame Texas A&M matchup since 2001. Notre Dame all time 846 winning percentage on opening day. Give me the Aggies. Darian takes Notre Dame. The Dacus brothers. Who you have, Bryant?
I'm going to go with Notre Dame as well. I think you see what they've been building these last couple of years. I think they've got a really good quarterback. And then you look at Texas A&M. It's a lot of new. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for all of that to come together. And with this big of a matchup, I think Notre Dame's going to go on the road and get a win against A&M.
Connor?
I have Notre Dame as well.
How about that?
So 3 Notre Dames and 1 SEC lackey. I wonder who that guy is. Sunday night on ABC, LSU minus 4.5 over Southern Cal in Sin City in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. LSU with the Heisman Trophy winner last time to give them 3 all time. Southern Cal, they have 8. Southern Cal, these two teams have met 2 times, 1-1 each. Southern Cal 33-16-2 all time against the 8 SEC. 1984, the last time these two teams met. This is just the 7th time in LSU's football history they will play football on Sunday because, they're very observant of the day of rest down in Baton Rouge. LSU minus 4.5. Darian takes LSU. I take LSU. Connor, your pick.
LSU.
Oh, man. Wow.
Right?
Way too much similarity on our list and as a group entirely. I'm also going to take LSU, and it might just be from what I saw in that bowl game from Garrett Nussmeier. I really enjoyed watching him at quarterback. I think him coming in, both teams having to replace Heisman Trophy quarterbacks. Both teams have a lot of question marks defensively, but I think Brian Kelly, what he's doing with that LSU team, I have more confidence in them in a Week 1 game, so I'll take the Bayou Bengals.
3rd group lock on opening week. Monday night. Seems like forever from now, but it will get here. ESPN, FSU. Seems like forever. They lost in Dublin, but they are 16.5-point favorites at home against Boston College. Bill O'Brien against Mike Norvell. FSU 16-5 all-time versus BC. 5 straight in this series. Last year, FSU, 2 years ago, FSU was the only team in college football in their conference to lead in total offense and total defense. Everybody recognizes the great job that Mike Norvell's done there, including 3-0 against the Boston College Eagles. On Monday night on ESPN, give me Florida State. Darien takes Boston College. Connor.
I have Boston College as well.
Brian.
I'm going to take Florida State minus the 16.5. I'll buy the fact that the game was in Dublin and weird things happen. It's a long travel. I think they come back. It was a really close game last year. So I think, but we really don't know what Boston College will be. New coach in there for them. So, but I'm going to take Florida State to bounce back and cover the spread against Boston College.
Darien's college football lock is James Madison minus 8.5 at injury-depleted Charlotte. His college football shock, the underdog, Georgia Southern, plus 12.5 over Boise State. I hope Georgia Southern wins that one straight up. Connor, your college football lock and shock.
My lock is Nebraska minus 27.5 versus UTEP, and my shock is New Mexico plus 31 at Arizona.
Bryant, your college football lock and shock.
I just want to put this out there. It feels like Connor and I are very similar on a lot of picks.
Yes.
And I promise you, we did not.
A lot of DNA. Y'all share a lot of DNA.
I was about to say, we did not even discuss these before now. So I had no idea what he was going to have. He had no idea what I was going to have. That being said, my lock is also Nebraska minus 27.5 over UTEP. You look at that UTEP team last year, not very good. On the other side, Nebraska, Dylan Raiola comes in. There's so much hype around this kid. Maybe I'm buying into that juice a little bit, but what better to show off your true freshman quarterback than a big-time win over UTEP? I'll buy into that, and I'll take Nebraska. For my shock, I'm going to take a team that's already played once this year, Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors, plus 14.5 versus UCLA. I just think this UCLA team is not that great. I think, a lot of new there as well. I think it's going to be a learning curve there. It's going to take a couple weeks before they get things rolling. Hawaii, they've already kind of worked some things out in week 0, so I think they at least cover this 2-touchdown spread against UCLA.
My college football lock, I'm going to take Arizona minus the 31.5 against New Mexico. So Connor and I differ on that one for sure. And my college football shock will be in Morgantown at Backyard, West Virginia, plus 8.5 over Penn State. And I think they can win that game outright. And that will really open up the number of teams people will pick to win the Big 12. Yeah. Big 12 and the ACC seems very wide open. That's our Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. All those great people there you need to go see, whether it's Ridge Lake or out in Collierville, Bill Samish, Brooks Winchester, Jules Fletcher, all the team. They're there to help you out for real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, recreational. Contact them. Stable, secure, solid, reliable, and consistent, and where customer confidence is the cornerstone of what they do. Contact them at fnbt.com or call 901-498-5763.
I really like that pick for West Virginia. An incredible atmosphere we're going to see tomorrow morning. Early, big noon kickoff will be there for that one. Pat McAfee was there earlier today on a Friday, so I'm really, really excited to see what that environment's like and see what both those teams can do. But we need to get to our final break of the day, and when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
If you're looking to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees, then Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis, Arkansas is the place for you. At Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis, you can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and is now available to everyone. A membership is $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar, all less than 15 minutes from downtown and midtown Memphis. Meadowbrook Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on and Cleveland clubs. If golf isn't for you, try the social membership for only $250 a month. And there's 2 levels of all-inclusive junior memberships, $20 to $29 for $200 a month and $30 to $34 for $250 a month. Call for your tee time today at Meadowbrook Country Club, 870-394-4186. Now semi-private Tuesday through Sunday. Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis, 870-394-4186. 394-4186.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Hi, it's Colin. I just discovered J-Lab headphones, and I am totally hooked. J-Lab imagines and delivers personal tech, headphones, earbuds, and office accessories that consumers want. Try the J-Buds Luxe over-ear headphones for noise-canceling travel. Discover your perfect pair of headphones. Look for the J-Lab Blue Box at Target, Walmart, Best Buy, and more. Or visit jlab.com.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye!
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that, yes, Colorado has some issues with their team, but I know one thing they do have. They have an elite weapon that they can play on both sides of the ball. Travis Hunter, if anybody forgot how good of a player he is, he reminded them last night with 3 touchdown receptions, over 100 yards receiving. And, oh, yeah, he did all of that while also playing on the defensive side of the ball. Shedeur Sanders did a lot of nice things in that game as well and really looked the part of what he's been praised to be over this summer of this first-round draft pick at the quarterback position. I thought both those guys were really impressive last night in their win against North Dakota State. But that being said, that big question that has been there ever since Deion took over as head coach is still there in the trenches, especially that offensive line was very sloppy last night. It did not look the part of kind of what we thought those improvements would look like, but still a win's a win for Colorado against a great FCS opponent in North Dakota State. Yeah, it might have gotten a little tricky there late, but ultimately they got the win and looked really, really good in the second half. So now a big test next week with Nebraska. We'll have a long time to preview that game and talk about it, especially after we see Nebraska and what they look like in Dylan Raiola's first start. But all in all, I thought a good first game for Deion and Colorado, and those 2 stars he has really looked the part.
Sadly, what I learned is it's time for it to be over at War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. They got the game next year between the Razorbacks and Arkansas State, and that will probably shut it down for the Razorbacks playing there. Crowd was poor. Reports of a lot of stadium issues, including all the air conditioning out in the press box, and that's what a lot of those people will remember and tell their listeners and readers what they remember about it. There were other issues, not just that, scanning issues for a really small crowd to get into the stadium, bathroom issues around the stadium. It ends next September, and it's frankly way past time. On the field, it was 70-0.
Oh, man.
At least the money stayed in the University of Arkansas system at Fayetteville, the flagship, playing UAPB, but otherwise it was a pretty forgetful night.
Yeah, it absolutely was, but definitely I think you saw some good things if you were an Arkansas fan, especially offensively. They really, really looked the part, but you're right, a whole lot of issues at that stadium coming to light last night. Brett, what I could have done without was the shocking and sad story that I saw. It started last night, and the news really came out this morning. Last night, I, obviously being a hockey fan, I follow a couple of hockey accounts, and last night, probably around 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, stuff started coming out of, I hope these reports aren't true. I hope this is not the case. Johnny Gaudreau, who is a really, really good hockey player, he was with Columbus, the Blue Jackets, last year after being with Calgary for a while. The reports started coming out that he had maybe lost his life, and this morning we learned that was in fact true. He was in the Jersey area for his sister. She was going to get she is getting married I think today actually, or this weekend, and Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, who both played college hockey, obviously Johnny Gaudreau went on to play in the NHL, they were out riding bikes last night, and a drunk driver crashed into them, hit both of them, and unfortunately killed both of them. Just an horrible thing to even think about for anybody, and to be a figure like that has been beloved by every organization he's played for, all coaches and players that have come out today. It's really been sad to see, and so it's sad that both those guys lost their life last night. And at the same time, it was a weird situation last night, because you had rumors coming out. Supposedly an officer that was at the scene told his brother, who ended up putting it on social media. There was a medical examiner who sent text to his group chat when everything was happening and telling them. When that stuff goes out, you got to think about the family that's involved. This is bigger and goes much deeper than just a professional athlete. This guy and his brother have a family, and I really would have liked things to have played out differently instead of people trying to run with that on social media. It was true. It did end up being true, but I would hate to think that anybody in his family saw the news on social media that maybe their brothers were dead from social media before maybe a police officer or something gave them the call. It's just a crushing, terrible, so sad news coming out of the hockey world this morning.
Brian, I wish mothers against drunk driving mad. I wish they'd get good and mad again.
I do too.
Because it is completely preventable.
It
completely preventable.
I know,
last night.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people have lost friends and family members to drunk driving. I lost a really good friend in middle school to a drunk driver, and so it sickens me every time I hear something like that. I'm with you. I wish they would get good and mad, and we could do something about it.
I could, just horrible situation. I could have done that last night. All those good players on Colorado. I don't know if we've ever had co-Heisman Trophy winners, and I don't know that we ever will. And I sure don't think we're ever going to have them on a team with a losing record, because Colorado's not going to have a winning record. Mm-hmm. But Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, they're that good. I'm old enough to remember when it was held against D'Angelo Williams because he was on a team that didn't win enough. It's going to be a fun debate whether Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders could win. They're going to split a lot of votes anyway. Even if they were on a 12-0 team, they would split a lot of votes. But and let's slow down a little bit on North Dakota State. Let's don't make them into the Green Bay Packers.
No. You're absolutely right. At the end of the day, they are an FCS opponent. I want to see this team against what is a wide
They look like the
Big
Packers.
They sure do. They wear the same colors.
They're not the Packers.
No, they're definitely not the Packers. Where are you beaming this weekend?
Beam me to the best place on earth for college football tailgating. Pregame in the Grove. 4 o'clock pregame starts tomorrow with me alongside Gary Darby. Furman went to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs last year. They got knocked out by the same team that later knocked out North Dakota State.
Wow.
Montana beat Furman in the quarters and then beat North Dakota State in the semis before losing in the championship game. Montana has had a common thread with both of those teams. they beat the Bison in the semis.
Wow, how about that? I didn't realize that. And Brett, you asked me earlier this week about the teams locally. I think it was Monday, the teams locally and who they're playing, all FCS opponents. And you asked, who do I think's the best FCS opponent of those? I did not realize, I didn't remember from last year and didn't realize how strong Furman was coming back with a lot of guys from last year's team, preseason top 25 in the FCS. So definitely going to be a good FCS opponent for Ole Miss tomorrow. And you can catch all of that action right here on Sports 56 tomorrow afternoon. We'll have the entire coverage of that Ole Miss football game.
SEC commissioner in Norman with his new best friends at OU tonight. Tigers and Ole Miss, biggest opponents tomorrow will be the tape, with the coaching tape when they show their team, their play. Big one early in Atlanta, Clemson and Georgia. Notre Dame deep in the heart of Texas to play A&M. Kalen DeBoer's debut in T-Town. LSU in Vegas. FSU Monday night against Boston College. The whole world will change by the time we're back here on Tuesday.
Oh, it absolutely will. Just so much football. Beat me to the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium tomorrow night for their game against North Alabama. Obviously, you want to see the team. I think a lot of expectations, a lot of hype. We talk about that big spread for tomorrow night's game. But I really want to be there to feel the new Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium with all of this construction and everything going on. You want to see what it looks like, want to feel what it looks like kind of before the game, how everything is handled to get people in, get people to their seats. I think it will be handled really well. They've had the entire summer to kind of practice that and work at it and make sure everything's good. But on the field, I think Tigers are going to handle business and win easily against North Alabama, but it will be a lot of fun tomorrow at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. But like Brett mentioned, it's football starting just here in a couple of minutes all the way through Monday. It's going to be so much fun watching all of these games and getting a taste of what these teams look like in week one. All the local teams going, obviously, outside of Arkansas, who played last night, so it will be a good weekend. But we'll also have Major League Baseball over the weekend to keep an eye on, as still a lot of storylines going on, a lot of meaningful baseball games in Major League Baseball. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Tuesday.